Hey guys, welcome to the close. 2 p.m. That means a couple hours left in what has been a pretty interesting trading session. Back towards session lows here as we speak. Very important levels coming into play today for all three of these. The S&P, the Dow, and the NASDAQ basically at a couple of week lows right now, needing to hold. 225 there for the S&P 500, 2.6 for the NASDAQ. It is tech leading, but only just. A pretty negative day for the S&P 500, 1.8 for the Dow. Red right across the board, basically. 1.7 for Brazil. You can see crude now 4%. Yeah, trying to test back to the high side for crude oil. That is all these crazy little tiny low float oil stocks going absolutely nuts this afternoon. We'll touch on a few of them, obviously, coming up here. Pretty negative day, it's worth noting, for cryptocurrencies. 3.6, 3.2 for Bitcoin and Ethereum. Yeah, a lot of red to see here right across the entire board. Energy stocks, we are seeing a little bit of strength coming back through, but many of them still in negative territory anyways. Utilities as well, a little bit of strength, but otherwise, consumer discretionary stocks that are leading, specifically the travel names once again getting hit. Norwegian's down 10% almost. DRI, LVS 8.4%, MGM 7.5%. Banks under pressure as well. We mentioned the 10-year. Still kind of bouncing around that 1.7 area where it ended the week last week ahead of the inflation reading coming up again on Thursday. Keep that marked down on your calendar. PayPal there, another 4% to the downside. MA, EPAM, FTNT leading in the tech group. As far as decliners are concerned, industrials, all about the airlines. Look at that, 10.8% for UAL. Love as well was on here. There it is, 6.7, DAL, Alaskan, AAL. You get the picture. Let's maybe switch off of that screen because it's getting a little depressing. Lots of red. That doesn't mean there hasn't been a lot of opportunities to trade today. We have a number of opportunities to talk about throughout the next, 35 minutes or so, as we do every afternoon. Welcome, guys. Hope you're doing well this afternoon. We're going to kick things off with a bit of a review, as we do every afternoon. Join us pre-market every single day at 8:30. We get you set for the open at 9:30 and come up with a plan. We're going to go back over that plan right now. Leading off will be Sean talking about one of his trades.
Oh, you caught me. I'm just tucking in my mic here. That's my bad. Okay, so we're going to use Bed Bath & Beyond. Look, today was a pretty simple trade for us, and it was only really simple in the morning, and it was a pre-market trade, and we'll explain why. Obviously, Ryan Cohen of GME fame, Chewy, we all know about it because it was about a year ago when all these names started to go crazy, and I just want to show you what the kind of potential that Bed Bath & Beyond has here. It was one of those names. Last year, December, January, we see these big squeezes, and you know what? It's always a short interest on Bed Bath & Beyond. Retail space failing. We had the COVID problem. Now we have supply chain management. So there are a lot of issues still with the company. As you can see, Bed Bath & Beyond definitely near the bottoms here before this news. So I just want to first talk about that there was a potential for an absolutely monster squeeze today. I felt anyways. But this is really where the trade of the day comes in, and we put this out on our sticky note, and it was really the only levels that we liked. We also did talk about a possible pre-market break, which even higher than this, which would have been a rate about there, 33, that I don't have. So let's start this off right now with just what that initial trade was, and it's right here. It's 28.75, and that's where we got long, and this is where we absolutely destroyed it. We get long on the break right there, basically the exact price, 28.75 that we wanted. So it's on this pre-market high break. It breaks it, and then before we know it, we're $1 plus in the money. It just shoots up to 30. This is minute candles, so in the same minute, it's rocking to the upside. 3 or 4 minutes later, we're getting 32s, and then comes back down, and we're like, okay, it's only at this time 8:50, 8:45 in the morning. So we reloaded again, and we're like, where are we going to get long? We could wait for this spot, but it just kept bouncing around. I'm like, no, we'll take it here. So we don't take as many shares. We take about 20 to 30% on the reload because we're almost empty here. So it comes back down. We take the reload again, get out again, 31, 32. Then we take out some of these highs. We let it dance around $35 or so. That's our best out. 30, I think it's 35 flat or 34.90, something like that. But this is where it really starts to get spicy here. And this is where we wind up giving back about, and this kind of sucks, but it's like 60 to 70% of our day we gave back as the stock started to fall. As soon as the market opened, man, this is it. look at this huge sell candle that happens right here at 9:30, right when the market opens. And then you just see it's an absolute cascade down. I'm currently long in front of the bottom of the day here. So we'll get out once 20 breaks, but we took another long right here. But as you can see, we retest. VWAP worked once, right? So let's test it again. We tested early, but then it just starts to come back down, break, break, break. Then we get long here ahead of 28, break, 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 break. Then we get long again. And then finally at 26 or whatever this bottom level was here in the pre-market, we finally decide to get out of our shares. So we don't go in heavy, but again, when you're averaging in all the way down, you got to have some kind of an out. And to be honest with you, our first out was this same level. So as it rips up and we take the reload there at VWAP, our next out spot is right where we got in. So we're out. But that didn't stop me because we just kept getting in. Like we said, in, breaks down the dollar, break out. Get in again, breaks that level, out. Get in again here at 25, breaks 25 and out. Get in again right here at 22, breaks 22 and out. And as I can see right now, get in again at 2010 or something like that, breaks 20 and we're out. So, you know, it hasn't really been a good trade, but because of this is the trade of the day, I feel like the learning lesson is really just like when this broke right here, this pre-market range, that one right there, all of these trades should not have existed except for maybe in here and right here, where we're literally trying to pick what we believe is going to be the bottom of the day. The ranges have already been put in now. As you can see, we just got out on a 20 break. It's now back to 2020. So, you know, we sacrificed. We actually wound up losing on the trade when it would be a winner. So it's pretty choppy. It was such a clean break on the pre-market high. After that, it was pretty meh. And then when you had that big sell candle there off the open, we should have changed up our mind and just switched the game up, but we didn't. So for me, I learned, gave back almost a whole day like we said there. But again, it's a learning opportunity. And the reason why, look, I even said on the show, maybe we get to 39 today. And why did I say that? Just because I thought 40 was going to be a key level. We held it out. We wound up losing. It's your trade of the day. It's Bed Bath & Beyond. And I'm pretty happy with it. Just got a little sloppy at the end.
Tons of volatility, tons of opportunity from that volatility, including in BBBY. We'll look at that coming up here again. That's a link to the watch list, guys, if you need it. Absolutely free every single morning. Bed Bath & Beyond was #1 on the watch list today. So make sure you grab that every single morning before we come on at 8:30. Here is crude oil, first off, on the day. We're back to about 3.6 right now, 3.5%. Back to the upside. But maybe if I blow this up, give you a little bit of a relation as to how the day has gone. We were up here to 124, came all the way back to essentially where it ended on Friday, and now we're kind of grinding back higher. There didn't seem to be any kind of resolution come from the talks today between Russia and Ukraine. I was going to mention this 9 as well, if we can show that real quick. There's just one of many of these little teeny tiny market cap oil stocks going crazy. This thing's still up 95% today, and then some, trying to get back to the upside as we speak. But I mean, there's INDO, there's IMPP, there's tons and tons, lots of halts in this group today. It's kind of hard to avoid what oil continues to do here, guys.
Yeah, I mean, that 9 stock, I'm going to do my best not to drop like lyrics from
I got 5
a rapper
on
that you
it,
probably
too.
haven't heard. People probably don't know 9, the rapper from back in the day. That's why I excuse anybody that doesn't know that one. What you want now? Fat beats for my rhymes. See, you probably don't know that one.
Yeah, I got to.
I can't say the next line because it's a bit, I mean, it's questionable,
vulgar,
so I'm not going to go there. But look, there's a million of these things running. So I just feel like you've got to pick your poison. I'm in MXC. That's the one from Friday. So also, you know, like it's IMPP, INDO. Some of them have started to fall off, but the 2 that are still strong, CEI, Camber Energy, and of course, everyone's favorite Mullen Automotive. Mullen Automotive?
Yeah, I believe
Mullen
so.
Automotive.
Mullen Group or something? Let me check.
Mullen Group or Mullen Automotive, I think
I'm going to get in 2 seconds. Yep, you're right.
There we
Mullen
go.
Automotive, Inc.
And those are,
Don't forget the ink.
those are still very strong today. And we got to watch them because the market overall, it's sliding back in. It was a rug pull after the news that looked like it was possibly going to lift those markets early.
Yeah, I'm going long on
that's
Mullen.
not going to be the
Screw this.
case. But like, yeah, as I mentioned, like Mullen and Camber Energy is also looking very strong. So if you're looking for where the rug pull is going, yeah, Mullen's at that 120 level, which this morning, that's the one from last week. the lower high. I mean, $2 to 120. Like, there's not a heck of a lot in between there. So it's at a pretty big decision point there. Like I said, MXC. And if the market's going down in the afternoon and we're on the lows and I'm not short a firm, then something has gone wrong. But I did manage to get into a firm today. So at least I've managed not to bungle that.
Okay, we are not reloaded, but we'll go in for the first time now. We are in Mullen right now, and I mean, I'm just not going to ignore it any longer. I haven't even traded this name, but there it goes, breaking out through 120. It's straight to the upside. We'll admit that we're late to this trade, obviously, but if we can scalp a couple dollars in our net, but a couple pennies up here, first stop, maybe 125. We'll see if it wants to look at that. Look, I'm not going to sit here and hate on a stock because I haven't traded it or anything like that. These names are doing volume, man, and like they say in the NBA, ball don't lie, right? Volume don't lie today. 190 million shares. Stupid for me to sit here and not trade this, so we in, and that's it, man. That's how we do it. We hit keys here. 115 is going to be my out, though. I'm actually debating, I have a decent amount of shares, and it's just like I don't really want to lose 5 cents on a name that I really haven't looked at today when I should have, and we've missed it. I look at some of these other breaks, right? Like when we broke here, if you used 102 as your breakout and you miss it there, you let it happen again, it goes only to 106, comes back, tests the 50 period, and then rips up. So part of me is saying that we want to hold some of this at least to 110, let it ride up through this 50 period. So that's what we're going to try to do right now. I will dump a little bit at 115 and then see about reloading it, but hopefully this can go up and we don't have to worry about it. I'm just really surprised. You see, like when it doesn't break, it breaks 120 and stops. That's not a good sign. You're actually looking for big volume candles here coming through. We have the volume, so I take that back. We just don't have any follow through. Like it went 1 penny on a day high break. That's obviously not a great sign. So we're going to hold this back a little bit here and get it out at 115, then punch it again. But that's what we're watching right here. It's Mullen Automotive. And I know we're talking about oil right here. Oil's at 120 flat right now, about 129.25. Sorry, 119.25. This is what crude oil looks like. So what's up, Brad? We can sort of look at this one more time. Coming off a little bit, it hit 122 recently. Now we're kind of barcoding to the downside, bounced off 119 a couple times. So we'll see if crude can hold this high. If so, then, or this bottom, I guess, and if it can hold this 119, then yeah, we probably do test back up here. Remember, it closes in 17 minutes, and then it goes electronic. So watch out here for crude oil. Here comes Mullen right back to the downside. So we should have, like I said, I didn't say we should have shorted. I could have shorted it just as easy as I went long. But right now, it is coming back in. We're going to have to give this Mullen to about 110 or so before we know that we're wrong. But this doesn't look good. It should have broke up there at 120, and it didn't.
I got to do this real quickly there. We'll flush that. Is that the same shirt on that? Am I wearing the same shirt as that graphic? It looks like it.
Do it again. I'll see.
Let's see what's up with that. Is this the same one? It's close. Man.
I believe so. I think you saw the white buttons.
It might be, but we'll flush. Man, is this Mexico? MXC. That just flushed again. Some of these have gone absolutely parabolic, but I was in the trade. You guys probably saw I had 2 short positions, a firm and MXC. I just allowed it to halt to the upside, and sometimes for this, you either wait for the biggest parabolic move or for it to actually halt at a top. There's nothing scientific about it. It halted, then tried to break 40, got to 43. You can see the capitulation candle. I was literally short 39.99 and just got out at 34. So I'm all done this one, and I'm now moving over to watch Mullen and Camber just to see which one of these is going to be next. So Camber Energy double, might have already happened, double top at 150. So yeah, this might have actually made a top here at $1 or at $1.50, 147 in particular. And then Mullen, it's still sort of chewing at that top level. I'd almost rather it break it, extend, and then find those shorts, because every single one of these just seems to go a little bit higher than you think.
Amazing liquidity, amazing volume on a lot of those names today. We'll keep an eye on all of them. Worth a note here, WWR, Westwater Resources, another clean energy name just popping up here on a volume spike. There's a bit of a gap, but it'll fill in when the candle closes here up to 215 day high. So even the little clean energy name is starting to catch a bid here. This thing was already up significantly back above $2. So heads up on that. I want to revisit this because if you're just waking up maybe and missed it, Bed Bath & Beyond confirming in the pre-market, in fact, that they have received a letter from Ryan Cohen outlining a plan as to how he sees the company going forward. There's lots of interesting points in there. At the end of the day, Ryan Cohen taking almost a 10% stake in BBBY. Ends up being a pretty epic fade all day long.
Yeah, look, it's
still up 27%.
Yeah, it's still up a ton. I mean, obviously, that's the nature of the gap up is pretty huge. That short trade's a bit frustrating because a lot of times if that same thing happens at a different time of day, it's something that I might have been looking for. I always want that pop and fade at the open. So when it happens at 8:50, I'm never really looking for it at that point. Like I was really thinking, and we sort of talked about it in the morning show, I was really thinking it was going to make a push possibly to that 39 area on the, that Sean already talked about, and then you'd have the fade. So when that didn't come in, by the open, we're already down at 30. And chasing the short $5 away was not something I was into, so I ended up trying to dip long a couple of times. It looked like it was okay, and then just took a couple of hits and walked away. At this point, you're looking 20. Sean's looking; he's got the 20 long, I think, already. So you're looking 20 or pretty much nothing else. If you short through the 20 area, it's worth noting it has broken already once, and you've still got the gap to be filled down to about 18. So there's room to run in either direction on this trade. I just feel like the really big opportunity on the short happened at a time where I don't think I've ever really, on one of these types of biggest mover, biggest runner, try to pre-market short that high. I've been in one or two of these, like really early. And the lack of liquidity is pretty staggering up at the high. It gets blown out, and you have that much time to the open. It's not a fun situation to be in if you end up taking a hit or you have it against you. So I really don't mind sitting it out. And once we opened up, I could have hoped that maybe it would come back into a 30 level, but that just never materialized. But the trend still should have been the short. Should have found my way into it, maybe off of 29 even. But once it happens, all you got to be able to do is move on. Thankfully, we did. Now that 20 level is pretty much all to be seen.
Yeah, Bed Bath & Beyond. Look, I mean, I'm happy with it. It's not my number one stock, but, actually it still is my number one stock, to be honest with you. But someone said I'm revenge trading. No way am I revenge trading. I mean, we made a hell of a lot of money back. It's funny because as soon as the show ended at 11 o'clock and I was putting it in Prad's chat, everything ripped and we were hella long. And honestly, we made back like almost 80% of what we were losing earlier on, and we almost got green there on the day, but we'll get there here for you in the after show. We'll show you a whole bunch when we're talking about Palantir and AMD and stuff. Okay, so just right now, we're back long. Here we go. This is what we tested right when we did this trade of the day. There's our 2025, and there's the when it broke through 20, and then now look, right back up. So we'll try it right here. The one thing is, this 50-period moving average, I feel like finally, I mean, we did break it right there, and it went up nicely. So it went from 21.32 up to about $1, up to 22 and change. So we're finally too choppy in here. I mean, I never thought that these breaks would really work, but now you come from the bottom and then break it again to the upside. These are the kind of looks that we're looking for. So we're going to test it one more time and then just try to respect this 1990 bottom, whatever this is here. We'll get out if it does break that, but we'll average in one more time down to the bottom side here of Bed Bath & Beyond. And I think it's going to be worth the look, but we'll see. If no volume comes in here at the end of the day, then this is just as dead of a duck as we thought it would be. So, but I want to give this a shot, just like Mullen, just like CEI. You don't ignore the volume. It's 100 million shares. Mullen's 200 million now, and CEI probably something similar. So you don't ignore this volume. We're going to look at this. Hopefully more comes in here at the end of the day, and we see where we go. Because honestly, up 26% on Bed Bath & Beyond is kind of like a normal day. Like, not that it's a normal day, but it's a short squeeze. We've seen it happen before on this. And now you have Ryan Cohen plus Reddit plus. I think it's just a matter of time before this name actually goes. And I can stamp along here, honestly. Forget about Reddit. Forget about all that stuff. Like, you're right back into some decent levels. All it really did was take out this 1830 here, which was the past couple highs on a daily chart. And now you're just breaking above the 200, which now it's below the 200. So, hey, if you believe in retail coming back, it's kind of like AMC. Like, we can sit here and say, yeah, the mother of all squeezes may not happen, and I think most of us will agree on that. But maybe AMC's rebuilt themselves, Movie theaters will be back. They've hopefully acquired some assets at a pretty cheap price. So some of those different theaters that they were overtaking, things like that. So you guys know, those of you that are apes out there with AMC, I'm not going to sit here and say a bull case. You guys already know it a hell of a lot better than I do. But I think Bed Bath & Beyond also, man, if retail starts to pick up, this isn't horrible levels for Bed Bath & Beyond. And just to tell everybody, I'm not in this name. I don't own any personal equity or anything in Bed Bath & Beyond. I'm just looking at volume, looking at charts, and looking at history, and I think it has a chance. That's it.
This is a bit of a blast from the past in the sense that we were looking at some stocks with higher short interest this morning in the pre-market, including BBBY. I just saw this one pop up as well. UAVS, which is that Edge Eagle, the drone maker, also has about a 10 or 12% short interest, bouncing off of one here on heavy volume. So heads up on UAVS. Let's go on to Uber. Uber out with a update, or I guess a forecast increase in the pre-market this morning. Another one. I mean, it tried out of the gate right at the open a little bit, but ends up being a fade as well for Uber.
Well, I mean, look, if you just look at the open, pretty much everything that popped up was a fade. Like, what Kroger maybe wasn't. I'm trying to think of things that didn't, like, Clover Health and Kroger both ended up, I guess, extending a little bit, but then one's a small cap. But either way, it didn't really make a difference. Everything popped that popped the open fell even heavier than that. It ended up finding support sort of in the middle at 29.5. So, maybe not quite enough to that even dollar range. And at this point, to me, and the key was when I flipped from longs and Micron to short. It's just at some point in the morning when these started reversing and then breaking down, it just went from a long to a short. And as much as I wanted to be buying the dip, a lot of the times that's for like the reverse of this trade, right? A lot of times I'm thinking, okay, if it dips and then gives you the rip, and that's the move I'm looking to catch at the open. When it does the other way, unless you have the short at the top, there's not much to do. And if you have other names you like to the short side better, then you're not going to have Uber. We just talked about Bed Bath & Beyond for a name that's maybe got some reasons to pull back in. But is there that much of a difference just gambling on a turnaround or betting on a turnaround in a brick and mortar, or making a play on something which hasn't yet proven itself to be consistently profitable and is a growth name in this environment? So, Bed Bath & Beyond, obviously brick and mortar is going to do more sales than Uber, relatively speaking, and maybe there's not as much growth there. But it's a similar type of thing. Like, you're catching falling swords in either direction. Uber feels like it's destined to retest these higher lows from back in late 2020 here at 28.50. That's what we were mentioning last week. It's getting really close to that price. I thought it was going to be worth a defense down there in the morning. Last week on Friday, and looks like we might get down there today.
Oh my God! I just said, oh my God! I didn't even realize where we were on that. Like, I was listening to you, and I was like, okay, it's almost my turn. I got to call up a chart. Yeah, I mean, this is what we want here from our sticky note today. We want 29 long, and it actually. Now I'm pissed off because 29 long was cash money, and that's what we wanted here today. And unfortunately, we didn't put it on our sticky note until just now. Well, it's on our sticky note early today at 8 o'clock. But here's the 29. I mean, it's pretty clear as day. Goes all the way back here. I mean, I'm not trying to pretend like this is anything rocket science related or anything like that. It just goes back into here, into last, even 2 Augusts ago. I mean, Uber's been getting absolutely annihilated as an investment as well. I mean, so many of these names just can't get off the bottom, and it just continues to make those bottoms. So we're going to try. I mean, I'm in it now. We're going to try to see what we want to do here at 29 bucks. It already broke today, went down to 28.90, but when things break the second time, like, I'm not going to wait for this 28.92, because if it breaks 29, then it probably goes to that bottom of the day. So we're not going to wait for it. But here, 29 was defended right there. That's really the trade that I would have had somewhere in here. It goes up again to about 24, 25. So yeah, I'm expecting a little bit of a move up. That's a starter position. Like, I was like, oh my God, surprised. So now we can try to go long in here, 29.10, 29.05, something like that. And again, they've just guided. They reassessed their guidance from, I guess it was profitability, 100 to 130 million, and they upped it from 130 to 150. So we'll see if that wants to go. But so far, man, you're going to see that I'm in a bunch of these longs, and really we're just kind of massaging them. Here comes Bed Bath & Beyond. We took it now. So now you can see our average price is 36. We're out of the money right now, 20 cents. remember what I said? Ever since the beginning of the day, the only trade that's really worked, we had this, and then we had the reload, and then we had one in here that was okay. But since we broke sort of through this pre-market bottom, it's been garbage. So we take the one last reload, and we'll respect that bottom of the day at 1992 on Bed Bath & Beyond. But this name is also fading through. So just watch out. There's a lot to trade, but the market is doing its thing here in the afternoon. I don't know what it did on Friday. I'll have to go back and look, but down 3% now on the NASDAQ, 2.6, and getting uglier as we speak.
Ugly to say the least. Yeah, unfortunately, right back to lows here pretty much for the market. I want to talk about, I'll show you this first. This is the 10-year, guys. The U.S. 10-year back to some support areas from Friday. Speak of Friday. Bounced off 1.7. We got back to about 175. That's where we're at right now. But we ripped all the way up to 1.8 with the overall market rally early on this morning. So back to the downside. And I say that because the banks remain under pressure in a big way. WFC 4.6. I mean, they all kind of look like this. It's been a tough couple of weeks here. This thing got to 60. Wow. But it's been a tough couple of weeks here for the banks because of the geopolitical concerns, obviously.
100%. And you may not have any trades in it today. When we looked at Citigroup this morning, it just never really gave an entry. But the stink bids are in for Morgan Stanley, at least, as we get closer to that 80 level. It gets down there. 75 to 80 on the daily looks like support for me. In terms of looking for trades, I think Citigroup has had some pretty decent opportunities, and it's worth mentioning. So Morgan down to 2.5%, but I'm going to flip from that and just give you guys Citi in a second here. Because Citigroup not as weak and looking like if there's a bid to be caught, it might be setting up for a bit of a break back above this 57 area. Now remember, when it gets to that 58, that's a lot of resistance. 57.5 to 58 has been resistance, but Citigroup relatively strong in today's action, and that's worth noting. So I like Morgan personally, but it probably has to drop just a little bit further to pick it up on the long term. And Citigroup is looking relatively strong today. If we get an update for these names, it'll be Citigroup through 57 I'll be looking for tomorrow. Or maybe if we even catch, I don't know if we have enough juice to get there today. It feels pretty unlikely, but either way, we'll have that on the radar this week.
Okay, so what? Back to Brendan. Just talk to me for one quick second here, guys. Mullen, we were able to drop down some money because there's the average in, and that's that, man. So we put on a trade right there. We talked about defending that 110, and guess what, man? We took a 111 long, and the rest is history. Up to 117. We are now very positive. Well, we're going to have to wait. Hopefully this comes back to 120 there before we say we're very positive, but that's the Mullen reload, and we said that we would do it. So there we go, man. The People's Trader. We defended that 110 there, and we'll see, man. We'll be the People's Trader for now when it's working, and we'll still always be, but I'm not going to hold this past that 110. If we break through there, then we're gone on that one. So we are starting to cash a little bit out, but nothing really. We're out of like 20% of the position. So I do have another offer here at 18, and then we have an offer at 19, and at that point, we'll be out of about 30% of everything, and then we'll wait. See, it makes me nervous every time it comes down because I have a bigger position for me. I'm happy with it. So I get nervous every time we make this little fall down. The futures, although I don't think that should affect Mullen too much, I just worry it's not really printing too much volume up here, as you guys can see. So we may start to empty a little bit more of this out. See, there it is, right back down to 14. So yeah, this is an interesting stock right now at these levels. It feels like it has to figure out what it wants to do.
Speaking of the EV group, we were talking about Tesla pre-market a little bit as well. There was a couple of notes regarding their Berlin Gigafactory, which finally got official approval, back at the end of last week. There was some more figures that came out today on that Gigafactory when it comes to targets for it as far as production is concerned. And they're talking decent numbers, guys, to start things off. 500 units per week or 100 units per day coming out of that factory in Berlin. By April, they're saying 1,000 will be coming out of that factory in Berlin. However, Tesla pretty negative today, down 2.4. But still, I mean, holding on to pretty decent levels here.
I mean, look, in this market today, like you got a high valuation, you're not going to be up today. It's just, that's pretty much how it's going to work. But like, what's the difference between Tesla and really, you can even include like Ford and GM, but certainly with regards to like Lucid and Rivian and it doesn't really matter. You can just put them all in.
Say them all.
And
yeah.
it's production. Like, that's the difference. Like, Tesla can actually make a bunch of vehicles, electric vehicles, and they can do that effectively, and they can do that at a good price that people are willing to already pay for. And that's what they have above everybody else. I understand, okay, it's expensive as a stock, right? So that makes it tricky to at least value. But if you have to worry about, okay, well, who's going to be here in 20 years in the space? The only one that I could say with certainly, if you put a gun to my head, is like which electric vehicle company is actually going to be selling, with a decent market share, like just call it like 20% or something like that, or 10% or whatever it might be globally. It'll be Tesla that you have to make the bet on. It's because they can do it. Now, technically, it stinks on the chart because we just broke down again today, and maybe that 800 level is the only thing worth defending on Tesla. Now, that certainly feels true when you look at the 15-minute chart. I decided on this fade. This morning we sat down, we talked about 850 and how it might have to break up, and there's some chop above for the short. And as it got there, I was offering 862 and missed the trade. But fortunately, because why? Because you guys are the greatest community in the entire universe. A bunch of people were talking about Nio was at the high and was even stronger than Tesla. Well, look at what Nio was doing off the open. Just an absolute parabolic move from $18.50 to $20. And then Tesla was making the turn. Well, able to get short on NIO, hold it all the way back to the 1850. Did scalp out most of it out at the top, but the reality is there's a lot of these, when the market's so crazy at 9:30, there are so many opportunities out there where you might catch a turn on something in a sector after the leaders have already moved, or after the futures have already pulled back, or something like that, because something is still overextending. And that's essentially what happened in NIO. Like, it had just gone absolutely parabolic. And then it wasn't until it got to 20 even and everything else was already rolling over that Nio started to fall. I haven't even thought about going. I was thinking about going into the long at the end of the show, and maybe it gave you that scalp trade, but I'm not fighting it. Like last week, one of the things you saw, especially on the Friday, was hold on to your short, winning shorts, and if you can find great levels, fair enough. But there's nothing that really stands out about where Nio's at here that makes me want to defend that price. Not when the rug just got pulled. So we had the trade. Nio was pretty good, but it stemmed from looking at Tesla first. And when Tesla failed and missed that trade, able to quickly jump over and find another short Nio. Maybe there were a couple others out there, but it was Nio that everyone was hollering at, that it was so high in the chat and stood out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, I mean, the only automotive name, I agree with you, obviously, that Tesla's going to be the only one standing at some point. Well, if you had to guess. I think that a lot of them will be successful, including Rivian, I think has a good chance. But you can see Rivian here. I've been like sort of the champion for this short. Like every day I'm looking at it, and it's like today, honestly, just got caught up with Bed Bath & Beyond, and it's the first day in a little bit that it hasn't been on the sticky note. So look at this, man, $50 down to 44. Like just an absolute, it looks like it's only down 7%, but really, like it was up to 49, right? And now you're down to 44. So that's $5 on 50. It's actually down 10% here intraday. So it's just been an absolute show of a name here to the downside, and I don't know if it's going to stop. Rivian just looks like it just. I mean, look at the 20-minute chart here. This is one of my best shorts, of course, is that break of 60. We talked about that. We had that all the way down here into the 50s. But this is a 20-minute chart. It's pretty pathetic to the downside. We've broken everything, man. IPO prices, inside prices, everything here, and it's just nasty. And again, like this just goes to the point where I talk about like some of these jokers that come out with the stock. Like, why are you even pricing this thing? And I know it's on demand, so I'm not going to get hit here by anybody that works for whoever underpriced this or who underwrote it. But like $100, man, it goes to 180, and now it's 40. It's just. It sucks as an investor. I'm not in it, but hopefully Rivian can catch a bottom at some point. So, yeah, good luck to anybody holding Rivian longs. It might be a tough one.
And they try and raise prices on top of that, which is unbelievable. HUSA, this one back to day highs here on a huge volume spike, guys. Surprisingly, I was just checking. This is actually not the first time this thing has traded up here. You got to go all the way back to 2018, I believe it was. When oil was up here, or not up here, but high anyways. And this thing actually had a bit of a squeeze as well. So not all-time highs, not even close to all-time highs for HUSA, but 8 million shares on the float. We're going to talk about frustrating stocks here. And I was going to mention 9, or this entire group we could just pile this in with, because if you didn't have locates on these early, it ends up being a bit of a blessing that we didn't, but it was pretty frustrating not to be able to look at these, even in the pre-market, as they gave you some opportunities. But here we go, even 9 going back to Day highs, guys. Give me your frustrations from today.
Well, I mean, there's probably going to be a few of them, but look, I'm gonna go with Bed Bath & Beyond, at least for the point of what I did in Micron is something that I should have done in Bed Bath & Beyond. I didn't do it ultimately, which is at some point when you're looking for the dip buy, I understand if it's a key enough level and there's enough momentum that you can reverse the trade. And I'm really just looking at this out here. And I tried the long one more time at 26, and this is going to be when it was breaking out of this consolidation. And you look at a level like this when it ramps up the last time on retail, and then 7 a.m. when a lot of retail comes in, it dumps in, and then that's the last line in the sand. It holds that 25.5 area. Okay, it does the ramp up, fine. You try going long in front of it a couple times, and it doesn't work. At this point, when it breaks down, and it's not to say that you have to short it at that price, but it's more along the lines of, okay, it's just turned into a short, and I'll probably look to short pops back into 28 to 30. It just comes down to, at some point, maybe giving up the ghost, and if there's a better level to be had lower, then wait for that level. But it's frustrating for me because usually it's the type of thing that I'm trying to short it past a certain point of capitulation, and clearly you can see at the open there was a capitulation that tried to hold that first support. And what I often say about the small caps, and I know this is a bigger name than some of the smaller ones we look at, is when they hold that pre-market support, they're good for an afternoon type run back towards the highs. The flip side of that is, when it doesn't hold that support, what do I usually say? Oh yeah, you just hold down to that short for the rest of the day. But that also means if you're not short, try to get into it. So, it'll be frustrating for that reason. And it doesn't mean you have to trade every single setup. And sometimes if you don't have a read, not getting into it or staying away from it can be the right thing. But in this particular case, at the open, I don't really mind missing out on that at that point. It's a tricky trade. You can see how volatile things are at 9:30. But certainly when it stopped out here at that 26 level and you saw it take out that support and just had all kinds of trouble getting back, like that's when you got to be able to flip to the short trade. I mean, I like Micron as a company, but to be able to flip short on Micron but not be willing to do it on Bed Bath & Beyond is a bit of an oddity to me as I go back and review my trades.
All right, for me, the most frustrating, I could use Bed Bath & Beyond, but it's already a trade of the day. We talked about that already for moi, so I'll move on from it. I'm just going to use Clover because, again, Clover was talked about from the community, from the chat. We even talked about it here on the show. Brendan brought it to us. We noticed it was moving in the pre-market. It was up that 17, 18% or something like that in the pre-market, up here to 920. That sounded really clear, by the way. So up here to 250, 248 right there. So this is the missed opportunity. So let me just show it to you if I can zoom in. So we missed that move. But this move back in here, normally I'm all over this 250. Like you guys know that I love even dollars and pennies, things like that. So 250, look where it stopped up here, 275. That's the high of the day before we're trying to break it again. But 275 right there, so 250. It's really missing this reload right there and back up. To me, that's what was missing on this trade here for Clover. So that's my most frustrating stock. We should have had it here when it dipped back down and then upside. But like Neil mentioned, I think about a lot of these names that we're looking at, it's just, it happens too early. It's right at 9:30. So much stuff happening. But for me, it's Clover because, we could have put on a bigger position. It's only a $2 stock and it never failed. So I like to go long, especially on a pullback of a stock that's up that 10, 20% already. So that to me was great. It's the same thing we just did on Mullen. Whether or not that works out or not, it's still to see, still to come. But we did, actually, we'll talk about that after. But there it is, that reload all the way to the upside. It gives you a clean 20 cents almost in a straight line. So I know myself and how I traded, I would have had that and we could have put on decent shares. So again, that's my most frustrating stock. Clover missing the bounce.
The higher volatility environment and very headline sensitive environment continues. Very easy if you're a new trader to get caught on the wrong side. We're going to talk about 3 common mistakes that specifically new traders can find themselves making in this video to avoid, guys, specifically in this crazy environment.
Yeah, these kind of markets where you see this type of volatility, it's a tricky place for any beginner, let alone any trader to get into and try to be profitable in, but especially when you're just starting out. And there's something that we do on our trading floors, or it has been a bit of a tradition that it doesn't always apply, but we used to say trainees sometimes, sit out the first 10 minutes and also don't trade the last 10 minutes of the day, sometimes even 15 minutes. So if there's one thing you don't have to do, you don't have to trade the pre-market or 9:30 to like 9:35, 9:40. And you especially don't have to go all in at that moment. It is incredibly common in a very volatile market that you will get all kinds of head fakes and traps right at 9:30. And sometimes allowing a stock to pick a direction for the market to pick a direction is the way to go. There's plenty of data. You can always paper trade. You can always try to learn on the fly by observing that open. Now, the example of something like Square today, just you had a gap down in the stock, a small gap down. The market looked like it was trying to bounce. It was positive news early in the pre-market, and you're gearing up on a depressed name to then have a double top breakout set up at the open. And it's a trade that a lot of people would be looking at here. But the speed with which it reversed and how it ended up reversing was just all kinds of a rug pull. And then really the better trade was to short. But unless you sort of have a sober mind to be able to sit back and look at it, watch the consolidation. At this point, okay, well, if it wants to make the breakout, let's see it actually happen. If it wants to pull down, it still has to test the pre-market lows. There's a lot that still has to go on before you can really determine that direction. And that first 10 minutes, it's just easy to get chopped around. You take that breakout, maybe you get $1. If you hold it, you can end up getting stopped right out in just a matter of minutes. You take the consolidation long, it's the same thing. But really, when I look back at it, the best trade is when it tried to reclaim those highs after establishing that it was taking out the bottom and then couldn't go. And then now it's a big time short. And then that same level that it shorted off of, which is about $102, go back to where it turned in the afternoon. It's about the same price, right? So the more significant price areas came in after about 15 minutes or so when things had calmed down.
Yeah, for sure. Look, yeah, great advice. Like, just take it easy. And I think that's what we started with as well, like playing some of these breakouts in the morning. It just, if they're not working, then you don't need to confuse yourself and get started on that a little bit too early. Look, for me, it's going to be kind of the same thing. And it's just like, keep it as simple as you possibly can. I feel like when a lot of beginning traders, they're looking for mentors, they're looking for advice, they're looking to say, oh, why are you making this trade? And then a lot of I don't know, I don't want to say experts or anything like that, but you're reading things online and it's like, if this breaks that and then that and the RSI is matched up with this, MACD minus that, divided by stochastics, it's just, all that doesn't make sense, but that's the point, right? Is that I look at something like this, and this is just an example that I pulled, right? And here it is, this is MasterCard, and this might mean something to somebody. So that's great. But you have Bollinger Bands here. You have, the middle stochastic. I don't know what this is. This might be some sort of a moving average right there. Moving average, MACDs, CCIs, different things like that, different signals, different volume, just a whole bunch of numbers. And I feel like when you're looking at this, you're going to find reasons why something worked. At the same time, I'm going to look at it and show you the exact same reason maybe why it didn't work. So my advice really, especially when you're trying to navigate through some of these crazy markets where we don't really know what's about to happen, is if you're looking at too many things, you're going to get, it's like finding a needle in a haystack. You're going to get too many indicators that are just going to throw you off. Like, should I get out? Should I stay in? What stock looks real good? And not to say that my charts, are the best, because they're not, but this is what I have. It's volume weighted average price in a 50 period. That's it on a 1 minute chart. On my daily, I have a 200 and a 50. Now, I'm not trying to make, we trade differently, and that's the point, is understand, if you're a beginning trader, try to keep it as simple as possible. That way, when you're back testing and you're trying to find out, what indicators work exactly and what don't, at least you can sort of pinpoint here what you're looking at and not say, well, here, today I'm going to remove the MACD and insert the Bollinger. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, now I'm going to go do that and this and that. So, just be very specific with what you're doing, and I think it will work out okay. So that's really my tip. Just keep it simple in the beginning and then add layers as you understand the base layer.
Maybe not a surprise, but mine will also, guys, add to this very similar discussion and very similar idea, and that is over trading. You have to avoid the urge, once you get stopped out of a trade that was in the wrong direction, to continue to pound on the keyboard. It's very, very easy when you see stocks going crazy to jump back in, jump back out, jump back in, jump back out. As the guys were saying, have a plan, execute the plan. Once that plan is no longer valid, you got to walk away from the keyboard. So there we go. 3 tips or 3 mistakes to avoid in this crazy environment. Wanted to mention real quick, guys, as the market makes a new day low here, 2.5% now for the S&P back to lows. Some of these stocks that have just been absolutely beaten down over the past little while, back to recent lows. Square, I just saw back below $100 today. This thing gave you, I'm frustrated in the simple fact that I sat here with Neil in the pre-market one day last week and said, yeah, this, or maybe, Sean, were we talking about this? Maybe we were talking about this. This thing gave you 130 if you wanted it last week to do something. But yeah, here we go. Square back below $100.
I mean, but what is it? That's the only thing I can think about. Like, what is it? Like, I picked a firm because, like, why not, right? Like, if you ever read a stock, just go to that one. But it's probably, it's exactly the same thing, really, in terms of, I know some, I shouldn't be saying that, right? Like, they're obviously different companies and, you know, they're very different profiles, but it's the same move off the open. It's head fake to the upside, it's rug pull, and then you just short the pops. But I'm going back, and I know we just talked about Square, but man, I was long, and I should have used this as a frustrating stock of the day, but you know, at the time, it was hard not to go with Bed Bath & Beyond because at least that was something that I probably would have shorted. I don't think I was ever really looking to short the airlines today, but I certainly was looking to go long, and man, was that wrong. Like, look at this chart. American Airlines is down 10.5%, and look at the trend into the downside. Like, to say that we're giving it up here, we're giving up the ghost. We're down 3%. I just can't believe I only have a firm left on, and I'm looking for something that I can find a level at for the rollover style trade that isn't one of these crazy small cap names. And it just goes to the other thing we could have told you guys when we're talking about mistakes to avoid or things you can try to do better is one of the hardest things to do in trading. It's not like buying at the top sometimes when something's breaking out isn't always that difficult. But shorting something when it's at the bottom, that's hard to do. I think for a lot of times, like when you're watching something break a level of support and it's already down, that can be a difficult thing to wrap your head around. But when you have a morning support level that gets taken out, these things sometimes, especially in a market like this, which is a bear market, these just turn into floodgates opening up. And look at AAL. Like, it's pretty clear where I like the long in front of it. Now, I gave it to 1385 because of the daily chart, but really, the second it broke morning support, forget about the levels on the daily. It was just a short to that point, and then that price area was the high that it couldn't get past. Showed you the same thing on Square, and that was a flip, and if you took it, I mean, you're off to the races to the downside. But look at this. It's just absolutely clean. So sometimes allow this range to work out, and then that's to your benefit, man. Like, this is complete insanity. By the way, HUSA, I don't know. Is that what we're going to call it? I'm going to call it HUSA. I feel like I'm saying woo-saw from...
That's what I was going to say automatically.
That's Martin Lawrence.
Woo-saw woo?
No, woo-saw.
I feel like it's like a fraternity thing.
Bad boys.
Bad boys, that makes sense.
Things like woo-saw, yeah.
Right,
anyway,
right. It's like some sort of a chant.
That broke 10 for like the 10th time or the second time today, and it's off to the races. No levels for this. I just want it to halt upside again. I tried shorting it several times, and even though these are all tight stops, like, it's still my worst stock. I tried shorting it here, tried shorting it here, tried shorting it there, and then once I took 3 in a row, I'm like, yeah, forget about it. I'm not even messing with this until either it halts up or does another big capitulation. But the Bears are out in force today.
Yeah, and he just got turned around here. So there's the bear on the buddy shot here. You can see he's just chilling out with Valeria's little Russian.
You can say it better.
I was going to say ornament. Oh no, it's a babushka, but
yeah,
or something else. There's another word for it too. Matryoshka as well. So
Rob
there it is.
just said that really well, by the way.
Yeah. So that's what that is there. Okay, but what I want to say was, I can't even remember. Oh, CCL. You're talking about AAL. CCL, again, we escaped this name by literally the skin of our teeth here today. And we are just flat on the name. After hitting it pretty good, it's given some back, but, boom, boom, boom. And now you're making that bottom at 1570. This is new 52-week lows here, testing all the way back to November of 2020. Right now is where we are on CCL. This name has just been broken, like, I don't even know. This was $24 a week ago, or let's call it a week and a half ago before I get eaten up here. But yeah, big time movement to the downside. Obviously, fuel playing a huge factor, I think, anyways. Like, what's really happened? I mean, obviously, we have a little bit of nervousness here with Russia and all that. But I mean, is that really going to change people's, wanting to go on a Caribbean cruise or something? But I feel like as vaccine mandates lessen and travel begins to open up, these are good places to be in. So I don't know, down 8%, obviously fuel. playing a big factor here, as well as Uber and everything getting hit to the downside today. So I would just say, like, watch out for some of those like secondary plays in the oil market, and this I think is one of them. If you really feel that oil has maybe peaked, which I don't know, it's at 120 today, up 3%, then these are decent names to get back into. I like an AAL, I like a Delta, and I like CCL, but I do think that what I've always thought was Royal Caribbean, so RCL, I believe, hopefully on New York, yeah, that this was one of the best run names, not Carnival, but again, you know, this is not my thing. I don't know what my thing is these days, but you are again right back to similar lows. This only goes back to November of 2021 right now where we're down in, so my chart's not loading, but I would pick RCL just because we're not at the absolute bottoms yet, but Royal Caribbean, CCL American, they're all pretty nasty as I sit here and just waiting. Biden says apparently has made no decision on Russian oil import ban.
No decision.
So, I don't know, Joe Byron. Okay, so $29 right there coming in for Uber as it's come right to the downside, and we are long on this name, getting ready to get out of this as it's near the bottom of the day one more time. Man, 28.90 is looking awfully good right now. So Uber coming, there we go, we're out of it. We didn't want to let it break. So Uber, another name that we just sort of messed up on right there, trying to catch some longs. And someone said something, Brendan, which is pretty interesting. We normally call this the power hour. And I'm going to find out, whoever it was, I'm going to give you credit if I see it. They called it the sour hour.
It's turning into that.
Because of the market reaction.
You like sour food.
Good one, whoever that was. Shout out to you. My bad, it was like 20 minutes ago, so I can't scroll back up, but there it is. Sour hour, Brendan.
Yeah, fitting, I think, for the past week or so. The UK, it's worth noting, guys, on that Biden note, the UK also came out today and said, just switching it off is not something they can do overnight, and it's going to take some time. So more to come on that front. We mentioned Plug today. We mentioned that FCell a little bit making moves. Here's another one. I just saw the entire solar group up nicely, up 5% here for FSLR. Gapped up. There was positive news last week on this group as well. So 75.5 here, just trying to hold anyways for solar, but. For solar, there's all of those clean energy names as well, doing quite nicely today.
Yeah, I mean, I think we did talk about Plug at least this morning, but I mean, ChargePoint has been a name. It's actually looking relatively strong here. Come on, load up. That's looking relatively strong, and there are some bullish names. I know I kind of said, yeah, what outside of Kroger and sort of tongue-in-cheek there, but you're absolutely right. ChargePoint is pulling back, though, so it feels like, and this is simply the case in these recent markets, even the strong names, when you come to this time when we're hitting those lows, you can't even hide out necessarily just saying, yeah, we're just going to buy every single dip as a day trader in something that's strong. Nah, it tends to be the reverse. Like, even these names that have been going strong all day long, they're starting to roll over a little bit here. And ChargePoint, you know, it's in the midst of a breakout in pretty much every single way. The 50 period, you know, the recent range of the daily got taken out here today. You can see it break out of last week's range here. So it's looking really great on the charts. And I probably like that support down around the 1535 or 1530 to 1550, somewhere in the middle there, last week's tops. But you know, outside of waiting around for those, I don't know if I'd be buying aggressively in front of it. If it can get back to a 35, 40, somewhere in that area, maybe even the 20s, that could be worth the dip buy because I love those levels and something which is actually breaking out to start this week as opposed to the alternative in most of the markets, which is going in the other direction. I just don't like buying it at the top. So I know you mentioned... You're mentioning Plug and a couple of other names there. It's ChargePoint that I'm watching, if only because we were looking at it last week, and I know the levels and kind of like this price area. If we can get back to 1530 or so, I'll be on that bid. For now, I'm just in a firm. That's now running almost a buck in the money, but HUSA, which is on the Amex, that always trips me up, just made another break of $10. That should have flipped. And looked like it tried to get back to those highs. That's a 1040 high and couldn't get there again. So, you know, that's now 3 times, maybe 3 times is the charm. Don't chase too far, Neil. Maybe 3 times the charm. That's 1, 2, 3 times it's broken 10. Unable to get past 1050. So I'm jumping into the short right now. We'll see. If it breaks the high of the day, I'm just going to be out. But I just feel the risk to reward here. You're 1-to-1 essentially to the recent high at $9 and then shooting for about $8 down here for the rest. So HUSA, very, very strong. but waited for it to make a bit of a triple top there and a fail break 3 times at 10 even. It could still go. But I'm not letting it go through the high. I'm not going to sit there getting stubborn about it. If it breaks 1050, or the high is actually 1041, if it breaks the top, I'm out.
Like, PayPal is $94? Like, what? I didn't even, I honestly, like, when you're talking about Square there, and it's embarrassing because should have shorted that block, AKA Square, through 99. That seemed to have been an easy trade, but wow. Yeah, that's, this is today, man. We started at 100, and now you're all the way down here to 94, and guess what? Like, you are starting to take down these lows here, 94 bucks. That is going to be a problem. If not, I mean, going to be a problem, I mean, I guess that's a little bit lost in translation because, yeah, we have a problem. What do they say? Blah, blah, blah.
Houston, there's a problem?
Houston, there's a problem.
Well, Houston, we have a problem.
Yeah, PayPal, Peter Thiel, PayPal Mafia, Elon Musk, everybody. We have a problem now with PayPal. And I was talking about it again this weekend with people and was like, when you open up your phone, man, no matter what, I have an Android, and even on Apple, man, it's like your number one choice is just Google Pay or Apple Pay. It's not like no one's hitting that PayPal, but that doesn't give you, I mean, unless you're, you know, laundering money or something, and I think PayPal's done a good job probably blocking that. That's kind of like what it was in the early days, sending people different, it's still a Square, Cash App, and back and forth, and things like that, but like, you don't get, like, why would I buy, and I said this last week, even if I have 10 grand in my PayPal account, whatever you have in there, why would you spend that instead of, maybe you don't have a credit card, so that would be the other thing, but like, you get points and stuff on other things. There's other benefits to using different systems, and I just feel like Apple Pay, Android, Google Pay, all that kind of stuff now is just overtaking PayPal, and unfortunately that sucks, man. It sucks for PayPal shareholders like myself, and it just continues to get beat down. Okay, so there's always, you know, they say the sun shines on a dog something every once in a while, or at least once a day. Well, let's go long on AMD right now because maybe the sun is now shining down here at 104 again. So AMD is going to look like a nightmare, but this is how I trade. We already picked these bottoms, and this is what you guys said, like Sean's revenge trading, net pa. We went long here right at the end of the day, right? This is right when you guys would know if you watched me on the early show, 104, 104.50, this and that. Look where it went up to, man, 106.60. These are big trades for me. Averaged in 4 times. Are you kidding me? Of course this is big shares. All the way to the upside. And then no problems. Again, reloaded it out. The only problem we had was just right now where we went long, broke 105 and out. But we wait like a thief in the night for these prices to come down to 104 again. And sometimes when you're patient, man, that's loud and annoying. But now that when you're patient, sometimes it does pay off. So finally, we're patient. We're only long at 104.25. We just took a piece out there because, hey, like, it went up to 104.45. Like I said, take the 20 cents. We're not getting any more out until we at least take this 50 period. Or, you know, like I said, playing 1-to-1 right now. Or we break through 104. So we're long now at 25. That's going to be with slippage. Let's call it 35, 40 cents worth of a hit on a breakthrough 104. So yeah, we are going to take a quarter, not even 20% out for 20 cents and then hope the rest continues to rip higher and higher and higher. So, oh man, wow. As the futures continue to make moves to the downside, like we were talking about 14,000 on the NASDAQ when I left on Thursday. Now you're at 13.4 to the downside. So, wow, yuck and more yuck. I'm just going to close my eyes and then just open them up in a couple months and see where all these tech plays that I've been making are at, because right now it's not nice, and the NASDAQ right here is breaking new lows.
But, I used the but there. Bed Bath & Beyond just came back above $20 as we're breaking lows. So, I mean, sometimes look for that relative strength. Well, I shouldn't be using the term relative strength when looking at a chart like this, but you know what I mean. The market retesting lows and something's actually bouncing off of them. That would mean to me, you know, that maybe it's found an exhausted bottom there. And I know it gapped up significantly and it's still up on the session a lot, but you know, that's a pretty significant volume spiking candle. So maybe that 19 is going to be worth defending. I'm still looking at that HUSA. I didn't take anything out at 950, but it is worth noting at $9.50, there's like a wall there. I'm not calling it an iceberg because like, there's enough shares there that it never actually got to the point of being able to identify it as an iceberg. But there was enough buyers at 950 that it's going absolutely nowhere until it clears that level. So anyone that's still long this stock, I mean, yeah, I can't even tell you. Like, that's probably a really good place to have a trail, because if it doesn't break this, we're taking out the highs. That's what it looks like to me. There was a bit of a wall at 950, just worth mentioning to you guys. And then we talked about Tesla, and I mentioned the Nio trade, because that's what I decided to go over to when I missed Tesla. It's now hit 810 3 times here while the market's on the lows, and it's going to be easier to just show you the ES at the bottom here. Broke the lows and is holding the bottom. You get the NASDAQ, which is trying to do the same thing. Meanwhile, Tesla, while you've sort of broken the lows on the futures, it's holding a triple bottom. So if we get any kind of a bounce, much like at one point early in the pre-market, I'm talking 7:20, maybe 7:30 in the morning. Well, actually, just even before that, Tesla was the first thing I saw that really started to go in the market to the upside. Like, it was that first thing running. So maybe it can lead the charge if there's going to be one to the upside today. Miss V?
Hey guys, Power Hour has begun, and I remind you to smash the like button. Team, please help us to get 1K likes, and also make sure you are a subscriber of Trader TV Live to receive notifications when we post new content, and in general support the community. Back to you guys.
Timing on that was absolutely great. It was like right at 3 o'clock Power Hour starting there. So I wish I could say that the market was doing better things when Power Hour hit, but it really isn't. So, it's trying to break off those bottoms. I hope it does. I'm gonna get my eyeballs on Tesla at 810, but also this Husa, it hits 850. Sorry, it hit 950 another time, and the same wall is still there. Another bounce off of this level, so still looking very, very strong there. When it breaks through, I think the momentum of stops triggering is what will likely get me that first out. But for now, it looks like it's still pretty strong. Brendan?
Another one with a pretty ugly day. We were talking about last week a little bit. Off of earnings, guys. Remember Rocket, RKT, had a pretty good week. Week and a half, I guess it was, back to the upside. But giving pretty much all of it back, or half of it at least today, for Rocket, back to 1240, 1250, a bit of a support area. But yeah, a lot of these pretty ugly today.
Rocket's down 12%. See, there's so many names that are...
Rocket companies?
Yeah, 12. DraftKings is down 11%.
Well, DraftKings is next stop.
GameStop's down 11%. I'm going to kick myself over that one, because I came in today and was like, the first thing I thought about the Bed Bath & Beyond move and the Ryan Cohen news was just fade GameStop. Because if there's any sympathy at all and it tries to go up, it should just come back down. And I never actually put that trade on. I'm kicking myself. Just one name that I forgot to mention off the outset, because I wasn't sure why it was up, and now it's not as strong as it was earlier. But Robinhood's up 5% today and was actually testing $12 a little bit earlier. So maybe I missed something there, but yeah, Robinhood, for whatever reason, getting a bit of a bump today. It looks like everything else, it's kind of rolling over here. And I don't really see much of a trade unless it retests that high at 12 even. That looks like a pretty good one if it can get up there for a fade. But not going to force myself into it. But there's a few names that are still trying to get off the hump. This is not one that I would have expected to be up on a day like today, that's for sure.
Oh, man. Okay, so I don't really have much to say about any of these names, because honestly, we're just going to sit here at the bottom and try to find out if we do have the bottom today or not, and they're just going to get blown out, like bottom line. There goes Palantir to the downside, bless you, as that's starting to break lower and lower and lower as well here. Hold on a second. Oh, that's Palantir right there. So a couple shorts come in here for Palantir, taking down this low of 1123. We'll see how far it goes now as it's starting to continue its move to the downside now. We can support this only for so long. We were long, and good outs, man. 1170. Like, I don't have any problems. We reloaded it right here on Palantir and got out. You mentioned, I was going to say Palantir because you mentioned like what names are up that are high value names that are still up, right? High valuation names, not value as in value investing, of course. But Palantir still up that 2.33. So we'll look at a short, but we are long AMD again on another couple reloads down here. So I am thinking about dumping this Palantir, especially if it does break, a little bit above here, because who knows, man? I don't want to be stuck long AMD and short Palantir, because if the market cooperates to the upside, one will be good and one will be DOA. So I'll net nothing on that. But we'll hold out for Palantir and see if that does give us that. Yeah, let's go over to CEI. I haven't even looked at that really today. We looked at it earlier on. It's done 500 million shares, and someone corrected me. Well, didn't correct me. They said Rasheed Wallace made Ball Don't Lie popular. So I was just saying it's a common NBA thing, but
yeah.
I guess Rasheed Wallace there, who's awesome, by the way. I mean, credit about attitude. I love Rasheed Wallace. Okay, I think he has a pretty cool podcast now, if I'm not correct, I think. But okay, $1.40. I'm just looking at CEI here. And the thing is, now remember, we did look at this in the AM. Why? Because we talked about it. I went over the daily chart and I said, yeah, that's why. You're right, that there would be some top cover here around 140, 150 is where we sort of settled the last time. So we went absolutely parabolic here up to 5, came all the way back, tried to go again, and stopped in this area. I mean, realistically, we could put lines wherever we want, but I think it still has a move possibly tomorrow till about $1.80 or so in here. So you do have Camber looking at that area. But what a great bottom this has been. Obviously, you know, picking on oil and things like that. What a great name back up to the upside here for CEI as that goes. But watch out, there is big size, just in case you guys don't have access. I mean, I'm saying big size. It's 500 million. This is 300,000. So it's not that big, but if you look at the levels, it is. So somebody right now selling $1.40. Those of you that don't have direct access, sort of like we do, that might be something to note. The other name that I want to talk about, we talked about it early. You may or may not have had a trade on it, but it's Nio.
Yeah.
You did, right? Okay, because this name is now at 52-week lows and making lower lows right now as we speak. Look at how nasty this has been. You can't even find a bid. I mean, there's a little bit of one here in late January that got going, but this name just continues to get destroyed. Obviously, we've talked about this, right? China, there's a hell of a lot of risk right now in anything coming from that side of the world over here, because you have flight embargoes, you have just, quite frankly, I don't know if China's going to play nice. So I'm not sure about anything, and I'm not trying to make this political, and I don't think we are. It's just when you're talking about trading and you're looking at names, this is stuff that you have to consider, right? And so Nio right now, who knows, sort of the fallback, but we're down to $18 on a daily. You have to go back, like I said, September of 2020. To find these levels. So yeah, 18, will it hold, will it not? I think this is a decent short through 18 is all in all. So we'll look for that short right now to break through 18 and then see what happens. We were already dancing around here in the pre-market, so why not? You're at the day's low bottom of 18.05. It may be worth a try on the long, but I just want to bring that to everyone's attention. We're heading southbound and pretty quickly here on NIO.
And now I'm basically right back in the same trade. Huso takes out the high, and then does another capitulation candle down, setting right back up for the same trade. And in the same leg down, it actually took out that 950 bid. So all the buyers at 950 got essentially filled in one shot. It goes down to 9 even, which where I was sitting before. So I'm just going to sort of hop back into it. This time, if it makes another pop and consolidation around 10, I might actually add to this trade. But I'm going to have a bit of a tighter stop on it. I don't want it going all the way to the high. I feel like if it breaks 10 quarter, it's probably going to the high anyways. But that Tesla, by the way, we're also watching Tesla. I'm holding a firm down to about $33, but Tesla now making its approach to 800, getting real close. Brendan?
We had the Squarespace in the pre-market, was among the leaders to the downside. I'll show you the chart here in a second. But Squarespace, there was a forecast, downbeat forecast, lower than expected. This quarter and the remainder of this year. So this thing got crushed in the pre-market down to 15. But I just noticed all the way back and green now for SQSP. Big volume guys behind this as well. 2.6 for Squarespace.
Maybe people thought it was square after all that, and they're just shorting it or hitting it. Yeah, I don't think so. But okay, so we will look at that. I mean, this market is absolutely falling down. I mean, Enbridge, 52-week high names today. XOM, Rogers Communications. Yes, Rogers.
Rogers is on the hump, baby.
Yeah, Rogers. Let's see. Rogers has been in my account for 50 years. That would be a lie, but enough time. Anyways, this is one of the very first names that I ever bought. I was introduced a book that I was reading, obviously as a young kid, and I think I got it as a Christmas present from my dad. Was Wealthy Barber, and it just started with buying dividend payers and continual growers and things like that. So I was like, all right. In Canada, we don't have too many, sexy, exciting names, but obviously at that point we were investing also in Nortel and probably Research in Motion.
Don't be hating on Nortel,
No,
bro.
I'm not hating. I'm just saying those were sexy names.
I know.
20 years ago, 30 years ago. But right now, Rogers, remember they had that embattled shareholder, wasn't it? It was Rogers, yeah. Came back down there, the family, so on and so forth. They had to settle something in the BC court, but now it's right back up to the all-time, it's not going to be all-time highs before I say that. Maybe, I doubt it, but up to $70. A great dividend pair, man. I love to see Rogers as that continues to go, which for those of you out there, it's like an AT&T basically. It's Bell Canada, Rogers. Bell and Rogers, Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, own the Raptors, the Leafs, things like that. So as you go,
Wait, you're not going to say the Blue Jays?
Is Rogers still a major stakeholder in the Blue Jays?
I don't know. I don't even know what's going on.
I don't know. Maybe they are.
Quickly here, I just want to throw out, because in Toronto, in Canada too, we always talk about dividend ETFs. You can do those too. And defensive dividend ETFs have been doing really well in this environment as well. Here's the one in Canada, all-time highs, XEI. Usually crap doesn't move, but it turns into a momentum stock, a Momo stock for you sometimes. But I want to get to this super chat, because thank you, John Borges, $10. Please help me with BJ's wholesale. So obviously, that's a bit of an ambiguous question. So I don't know exactly what
just
you
help
mean.
him, okay?
I don't what? Buy 1 million shares of it?
Help him.
If my chart will even load here. Yeah, obviously I can't really do anything like that. What I can tell you, there's a lot of these ugly wicks. So I'll have to zoom in so that you can see what's really going on here. It's trying to make a breakout today. So when you say help me, it's one of the stocks that's actually up today, but it just broke the 200 period and has been actually trying to hold nicely. When you go to the 15-minute, however, and just all I quickly notice is, yeah, it's got relative strength in it after getting woodshedded last week and is trying to break back out in a dead cat bounce. Now, my guess would be, and this has a small short float, and it's not the most expensive stock in the world, so it's pretty relatively priced. And I suppose a lot of retailers, for a retailer, it's probably still a little bit expensive, but they're always going to have lower Ps. But it's relatively strong and probably would be sustaining this breakout if the market wasn't so crap today. But there's not much you can do about that. If it closes above 58, that's a pretty strong sign in this market. And I think something like this is going to probably do well for this week if it can do so. But you can see the clear channel it's had. And the daily, I wish I could go back further in the daily without it being ugly, but yeah, you've got this 58 level of certain support, at least for today, and then the nice obvious channel that it put in on a consolidation. And when something gets hit hard, usually what you're looking for when it settles down is it establishes at a range. If you want to be bullish on it, does it break out in this range? And it's doing that in the context of a falling market. Those are all pretty solid signs, but that has more to do with the fact that it's relatively cheap and probably coming in, it's at attractive levels for some people. I don't think the short interest is big enough to get any momentum behind it, but yeah, hopefully that helps. Not bad to be looking at something here which is up on the session and trying to break out on one of your higher time frame charts.
Okay, good job there on BJ's. Okay, so I just want to look at PayPal one more time because, look, it's kind of rode this all the way down squoze, all the way down here on the 50 period. I got to clean up this candle so it'll look a little bit better for us in a second. But, that's the 52-week low was already made at 94.50. So I'm going to try to push along if we get back up through 94, 95 area here. So we break through 95. I think it's, testing the longs could be possible. All right, so that's just that. But I mean, if the market, the best thing about not just using VWAP or anything like that is that you don't have to get in until it breaks. The market's making lower lows right now as we speak. So, I'm looking at the long if it hits. You could also go short now and use that as your out and possibly reverse to the long side on that kind of a break. So, we're going to look at that with PayPal. We'll get rid of that wick. All right, and just to give you guys an update, I mean, short Palantir Palantir and cashed them out here at 11s, 1110s, 1112s. Again, another name that we're in here. We were long, pretty good too, off the open, and then now trying to hit this short. And look where we got out. It went right back to low of the day, 1112. And you know, we say when in doubt, zoom out. You don't have to zoom out that far on a 1 minute chart, just to go back to 11 o'clock where we made that bottom. Like I said, as soon as our show ended, the market, this was the frustrating part for me. I even said to Greg, it's like, as soon as the show ends, everything goes up. So there's the show ending, and then all of a sudden Palantir, these longs right in here. Look at all these longs. And look where we got out, like well above our area. So good trading for Palantir today, but now we hit the short. We're going to get out of this short, like I said, if it breaks 1130. We've already got out of half of it. So a break to the upside and then a switch long. So that's for sure. We're switching long on Palantir if it breaks above this 1130. It's a strong name. It's up today in a weak market. So I like the Palantir long breaking through 1130. So we'll hold the short, break that to the upside, and then breaker 19. We'll continue to go to the upside, and we'll see what happens from there. So we have the PayPal we're looking at for a long, and I'll clean up that chart. That's one that we're looking at here long. Again, down 5%. Let's just see if we get a little bit of a relief rally. Not trying to hold this thing overnight or anything like that. If the market goes, I think PayPal's low enough now that we should be able to get it and then give us an out. So that's that trade. You could do this on pretty much any name. I'm just going to try PayPal, but realistically, I like Palantir better. So I may cancel that PayPal and just get for Palantir, because if the market rips, we're going to get both of these. So let's do that. Scratch the PayPal, see how fast we change. And I'm going to wait for that Palantir to come down, and we're going to take a long through 1130.
Yeah, and this whippy action on HUSA just continues to happen. Instead of tighten up the stops just not to get whipped around as much, I might just move away from it altogether. Like it feels so strong at this point that it's more likely that the you-know-what direction is to that upside. I get it. It could fall down and be fantastic, but at some point you sort of give up the ghost. I look at all of these names. IMPP is still holding up pretty strong here. Maybe it wants to make a run at 830. I know we hadn't even mentioned Indo, which is pretty crazy. It's probably the longest we've gone in the afternoon show not talking about Indo, when it's at $70, up 75%. And it's still looking, insane, absurd, whatever adjective you want to put towards it, that's what Indo deserves. And it's really not showing too many signs other than dwindling volume of falling down. At this point, I'm just holding on to, I think I might be in a firm till either like 33 or we get to 350 on the day. And that 350, of course, being when imbalances come in. And a lot of times you get a bit of you can get a bounce in the market, you can get some follow through. But if you're at the lows, I usually anticipate that it might not break lower. And then, of course, Tesla, which it's grinding down to 800, man. We're now at 806. We've touched 805. It feels like we're going to get an 800 test on Tesla at some point. It seems almost inevitable at this point we're going to be touching those lows. But I always say, if you're in something that's working, just sort of hold on to it. A firm is trying to break this level right here. I know I'm not really showing the chart because it's not doing much, but 33.75, that gets taken out. And I think we revisit that low of the day at 33. The way the market has been continuing to decline here, now down 3 1/3 on the NASDAQ. Like, you know what? Like, where are we even looking at for support? Yeah, like this at this point, like last week's level is what, like 13.3, but even that's not really a level. Like your real support's down at 13,000. So yeah, it's getting pretty ugly here to start the week. Obviously, it was one of those failed breaks. Like, how many strong moves in one direction or the other start out with a wick off top or bottom? And that's exactly what the market did to you early on today. It was just like, meh, and then boom, hard reverse. You get one of those. And on the 60-minute, there isn't a single green candle today on the NASDAQ. Like, that's how strong this move is to the downside, not one.
Okay. Finally, like we just go back to our bread and butter there with Microsoft. We were looking for something that was low. We talked about PayPal, which make sure I scrap that. Yes, we did. And then there goes Microsoft. We just took some out of that, and then it stopped. I thought we were going to head over to here. We'll see what does now happen with Microsoft. We're long at 37. We took some out there at 70 or so. What was it? Yeah, some out at 62 there. So again, it's only 30 cents. And then we thought we were going to get that fill, but we are waiting right around here, man, 281 and change to see if we can get that. But again, Microsoft. So now the futures pushing. I mean, look at this. This is crazy. actually pushing lower and lower and lower right now, the S&P. So yeah, Microsoft trying to absorb this 279. We're taking some out. We are planning on reloading this. I want to try to defend this 279. So Microsoft, we'll see if it does have a little bit of a late day rally coming through. If any of you here, I mean, Brad, obviously, Brennan will do as well. If we do hear any sort of talk here about, there it is, we just got another piece out on Microsoft there, just got out 70s about the imbalance coming at the end of the day, because, you know, if it's going to be red, then this is a big time problem. So we'll wait. Now we'll hold out on Microsoft. Hey, man, maybe we do get back to VWAP here, 280, 250. We're long at 280. We're long at 280.37. That's good enough for me. Here goes Microsoft instantly in the money, 40 cents. And we're out of only 40%. Let's hold the rest. Maybe we'll take this 50 period, 281.50. Let's do that. Let's take $1.20 if it goes up there, and then we'll wait out for VWAP after that. But we'll go back to the well here with Softy now in the money, 50 cents. And we just got to wait for that Palantir. But here goes Softy. You know, the best just stay the best, in my opinion. Trade the best names. Microsoft seems to be pretty strong. Not today, but, you know, we like those levels. And there we go. They're respecting 280. So nice little move up for Microsoft here off that little bottom tick that we just took.
And wow, there goes the, thank goodness we got up and tightened the stop on HUSA, because what's the point? I said if it broke 10.25, it was likely to go higher. Should have just taken the long break. Up at $12 now. When it goes from $2 to $12, you guys know I don't like chasing longs this high. Certainly if you can find a good risk to reward, fair enough, but this has now gotten completely out of hand. If it halts, I think that's all to the better for price discovery. It's been resisting halts pretty much the entire day, and you would have thought this would have resulted in a halt, breaking 10.50 and going to 12.50 in a matter of 3 minutes. But once again, sometimes these halt levels don't make any sense to me. That should have triggered an upside halt, 550%. At this point, it's halt or $15. That's the only two things that's going to get me to short this stock. And at this point, I do believe that is a distinct possibility. The other name, which I'm all over at this high, is CEI, starting to get back to its triple top. This is 150. It might do 700 million shares today, depending on what happens at the close. It is stupid liquid. It doesn't matter if you're watching a level 2 of this. I don't care what size you see. It doesn't make a difference. It'll chew through any of that because there's just so much liquidity in this stock, and it's been punching through pretty much any level that it wants to. But it has had trouble getting back to that 150 despite all of this volume. But there's a lot of people that are able to short this one and taking some pot shots at it. The market just tried to make a bit of a turn there. Of course, it was before Tesla wanted to get down to that 800 level. We got to 805. I wanted it breaking 805 and getting a little bit closer to that 2-3 range to put a trade on alongside. But it looks like Tesla got the better of me and went early here. But that 15's coming on HUSA. Brendan?
Positive note here. Unfortunately, not doing anything for the stock, but I just saw a positive note here on AMC, guys. They experienced their biggest weekend since 2019, 2020, before the pandemic, over last weekend. But as I said, ugly day for this one as well, but positive note anyways for AMC.
All right, guys. All right, so
Mike.
Yeah. I just took, like, my phone number is like part of some sort of a scam with like 6 Kids Hospital, the same one I was telling you guys before. So I just had to tell them that, like, I don't have a kid that's due for an ear appointment.
Somebody does. And
no, but it's a scam. I think they're trying to scam OHIP or something.
Okay.
Okay, so right here, buy. Nice dollar winner right now for Microsoft. So that's a good one. Whoa. There we go. And then we were smart and we got out of Palantir for a win before we had to make a decision. So right now Palantir's looking to take out 28. So let's put our order at 11.29 to go long, because again, that's what we're going to trade with. Right now we like to go to the long side, as you guys know. So it's been nice. There's the short, just to show you what it looks like on a larger time frame. Short, out. So winners there for Palantir. And then there's a big one for me on Microsoft, honestly. You stick your neck out a little bit, and when it wins, it feels good. So that's a good trade here for Microsoft. We did find the bottom there, and we're out of now 60%. Look, it could fade right back in, and that's fine. But, sometimes you got to stick with your plan. And really, if it goes up, I like Softy here. I think it can run, man. I think this is a very powerful name. And when the market's down like this, and if you look at a daily chart, I mean, I would be a buyer of Microsoft here all day and 10 times again on Friday, because I like this name, and you have bottoms of 270. Look, again, I don't think that the market's at any kind of a level where you're going to pile into anything right now. But I feel like for some of these valuations, and Microsoft, the last time it saw this, we did, make moves back to 311. We did make moves back to the 200 period, which is 300 even. So I feel like there's at least a 10% or so upside move here coming from Microsoft, and you just get a positive day tomorrow, and this thing could really be right back to 300. So I don't know. If you're positive on the market, I do like this name at these levels, and we're about to get into Palantir here as the market's starting to rip upside. This is going to be a nervous trade for me because I want to put on, and I will put on shares, but it's going to just be slippery. Like, it could just fade back in on me again, and we have to wait. So Palantir, again, if I take this, I'm not sure where I'm going to get out, but let's try to play the momentum and see if it lasts through 29 to the upside. Let's see if this wants to go. So Palantir right here. It's not even really going to be a starter position. We will take it. Breaking through there. It's an up stock today. The market is up. And this profile is fine for me. So we're going to go against this 11.10, I guess, bottom, and just see if this one holds. Palantir for the win or for the bust, but I'm going to be riding this train. Palantir, let's see if it takes out the 50 period, and we'll punch the long.
So it looks like it was 14, not 15 on HUSA. Obviously I was going to wait for that 15 level for a bit of a turn. It goes to 14, now back to 12, and it's consolidating off that 12 level. So there might be another pullback to the downside. A lot of times it just has to go parabolic one more time before it goes. I think it should have halted. That would have made for a much cleaner opportunity to trade it. But, beggars can't be choosers. I don't make up the rules. Somebody else does that decided when it went 30% in 5 minutes that wasn't worthy of a halt. Another name which is moving in the same vein, OP, just made, it made a high at 170, and then what would seem to be like two pretty distinct capitulation candles there, and it's making a third lower high. I'm not convinced that this doesn't actually have to make another leg up. And when you go to the daily chart, sometimes these things have to actually test all the way to a level like a $2 to go. But those are three lower highs at a 170 area. I think the 160s is pretty reasonable at this point. If it breaks the top, I think it's very likely to get to $2. So watch out for this one taking out the high. It's got pretty good volume, like I said. And it's not so far overextended that it's ridiculous risk to reward. If you take a 170 break, you can always give it back to this current consolidation. That's 10 cents, where it's consolidated at least 2 or 3 times in this area. And that's 10 cents, which is 3 to 1 to $2. That's why if I can't find something like that, I don't like going long on a break. But when you have a level like that looming, where okay, 10 cents below, there could be some support down there if it breaks, then I don't mind taking that long trade. But you better believe I'll be trying the short on OP here if it gets to about $1.65 or so and it can be tested. I still want to make sure we're watching HUSA because I don't think there's anything that's moving more than this. Well, if there is, then I don't know what it is. But HUSA making another test higher. At this point, with that kind of a wick at the high at 14 even, I definitely want to be fading in front of it, and you got to give it more room. You're looking for it to retrace to $10 where it just broke out. So anywhere from 12.5 to 13.50, you're trying to target $2, and it's worth it from that point to give it to the high. The market's still trying to make a bit of a bottom. I'm going to put a trailing stop on a firm just to make sure I lock in profit, but that's going to be closer to the 34.25 area. Going to be hunting for HUSA right now.
Yeah. Okay. We are into the Palantir. So it's not moving, but we're in it. We're in the long, taking out that 50 period. Let's see if it goes. The market's trying to also take out the 50 period right here. Obviously, we have the big banger on board right now with Softy. That is now 80 cents in the money. Could go, hopefully takes out the 50 period, which is at 281.40 right there. There it is. It would just hit it. So now we're in the money at $1.20 on Mr. Softy and still making moves to the upside. So yeah, so far so good here. The market looking to take out some new highs. Not new highs in the market, but here in the afternoon. So we'll see if Brendan has something for us as well. What up, B?
Just another one of these crazy little oil stocks. Just a heads up, guys. The OPEC Secretary General just making some comments. Not seeing a reaction in crude oil, but here's another one, if you need another one, to add to your list. PED, 28%, just took out $2 there. You can see huge volume came in. So another oil company starting to go.
Man, that chart looks like it's on steroids. No?
Good one. PEDs? Yeah, I got it.
Know.
I got it.
That's about as cheap as it gets, right?
Pens.
So I'm all about the low-hanging fruit when it comes to the puns, so I'll jump all over that one and have no problems with it. We'll go for it. I got my trail in now on a firm, so I can basically just hold on to that. Don't have to worry about 340 or check that 350 when the imbalances come out. I did get into HUSA on that consolidation, but got to give this one some room. If it pops and tries to make a run at the high, I'm very likely to just want to take some more shares off of 14. It's extended the range, which means the opportunity for the drop is definitely even bigger. So rather than first level profit being 50 to 60 cents where we were before when we had the shorts, now you're looking at not taking anything else till it's over $1 in the money. Tesla's still looking like it wants to bounce here. As that just, I mean, it hit the 805. It's really not that, I guess it's only gone $5 or $6. It feels, for some reason, it felt like it bounced a little bit more than it did there. So there's still a chance that it does test 800 and look relatively close to that level. And AMD, maybe a little bit more of an impressive bounce because that bounced $1 off of 103. 100 could come into play on AMD this week. And that's a level, look, if you remember, well, it wouldn't be that hard for you to remember the last time we bounced off 100 on AMD because it was really just a month ago.
It was not long.
Yeah, it was actually, January, end of the month, January 28th. So that was a pretty big level. It went in 3 days, you're 30% higher, which is insane. But that's what this market's doing to you. So 100 could be in the cards this week, but first it has to break last week's support. Give me that first buck on HUSA. Still looking to see if we can get it. And again, just extending the range a little bit here. The consolidation was, I mean, a good $1 down from the high. So you want to make sure you're grabbing a buck. And then from there, I'm looking for a trace all the way down to 10 even on HUSA. I should find out the name of that company at some point.
Houston American.
Houston American.
Houston American Energy Corp.
That's about as good a ticker as you're going to get for that.
Yeah, they got a good one there. Okay, so we did take another piece out, obviously, of Microsoft. I say obvious, it's because the market's going up here. Because we take out that level right there, 281.50, which was the 50-period moving average, right there taken out. Now we're in the money at $1.30 on Microsoft, but we only have a quarter left. So, 20% left of this name. So that's that. We got a little nervous, so we got out some. I thought it was flat, but it looks like a penny hit. No problem there. The market kept going and Palantir didn't. So we lowered some of the risk there on Palantir because we had Microsoft going and we didn't have Palantir. So we literally take out half. It didn't go. It ripped through. And by rip through, I just mean it took it out, but then it stopped completely. It didn't even think about going up any higher. So it only went to 1131. Look, we could look back and be like, oh man, why don't we hold this? But it's not going. So Palantir, looks, here it comes right back to the downside. We will take another. What? Okay, we will take another bid down here and then try to see about 20 holding. But yeah, we definitely identified that was a false break or something there at 1128 when it didn't give us the move. Like it's almost the same move here for Softy, broke through there and stopped and now heads back down. So we take a little piece out. Like, you could always reload it lower, especially with these markets. Like we don't ever think that we have the bottoms. I mean, you play it, you take what the market gives you. And so far, I've been in a lot of trades for you guys here. Mullen, again, this was a name that we put on just as the show started. And again, look, takes out the day high. I guess for me, it doesn't really matter when that is. We put on a trade there. Actually, no real problems because we were able to reload this back at 10s and then get the majority of them out here at 16s and 17s. We talked about that. Then when it broke back down through 10, we got out. So there's the breakdown. Chris Mullen, Automotive, to the downside there. We'll have to watch out for that 102.
That dude was on the dream team.
Yeah, Chris Mullen, hitting those mad threes
he was
there.
a good shooter.
But apparently a pretty good shooter there. At least he didn't choke his coaches out, Mr. Spreewell.
Oh, come on, man.
Spreewell.
I know they both played for Golden State,
That's
but
why
you ain't got to go
Tim Hardaway.
You have to go with Spree
Why
like
not?
that.
He choked out PJ Carlesimo.
I
You
know.
do that nowadays, man.
You know what the crazy thing was?
The only person that doesn't have to listen to any rules would be LeBron James. But
Yeah.
other than that,
Spree was a good player, but look, Chris Mullen had no business being on the dream team. I don't care what anybody says. It's just whatever, man. Like it was a great team, but I don't know that he probably should have. There was some great small forwards that could have been there. HUSA now has a lot of executions at 12. Like it gets to that first level and wants to try to make that next leg down, which I'm trying to capture. And right now 12 has just all the world's trying to sell on the offer, and they're getting hit. So it's definitely chewing through some volume here. I just feel like it's bound to come back down. And then OP, I thought OP was going to make a test higher. Whoops, OP's on the NASDAQ. Yeah, 2-letter symbol in NASDAQ for some reason doesn't compute in my brain, but OP just does not want to seem to get up and retest that high. That's what I'm looking for. I still like it for a 170 break. If anything's going to take out the top and I want to take a shot, it's going to be, it would be OP here, but there's about 120,000 shares on the offer at 159, like 10 cents off of that high. If it breaks it, As long as we're maybe 5-10 minutes away from 350, I still like the breakouts. I just don't love top breaks too close to the close because so many times, especially on small caps, the real follow through ends up taking place after market. So when you have to be flat at the end of the day, you're working against the clock as well. That works against your upside for the trade, right? Because you have to cover it. And if there's no time for it to make the extended move, well, then it doesn't make sense from a risk to reward to be able to get into it. But for now, I still like that 170 break. Tesla, maybe we're not going to get 800 at this point. The market's still around those lows, and Tesla, maybe it's just not weak enough to get there. It's made a couple of bounces off these levels. It just hasn't been able to really extend that move or retest that low of the day or past that low of the day to get that entry point. It's a similar thing with AMD down here. It just retested the bottom, but couldn't quite break to get closer to a 100 level. So just got to stick to HUSA, which is plenty of action. Nothing wrong with that. I just want that big capitulation candle to finally get some out.
All right, we'll try. I mean, I'm just looking. Someone mentioned AMD not moving. Wow, like there's guys, there's so many high quality names. I feel like, anyways. And we'll go to one of Valeria's names. Hopefully, we can get Valeria on the screen at some point soon. We'll do maybe a little bit of a like count here. But look at Starbucks, like down 6% today. Like I honestly, $84. Like, I remember buying this thing. I'm out of Starbucks. I don't hold it anymore, but I got out a while ago. I remember when this thing was like 50 or 60 bucks, and we ripped all the way to the north side here, 128.
Your mic fell? Oh, no.
Hello. Yeah, so right there, Starbucks all the way to the downside now. I mean, this is another high quality name, and like $84, $85, you're into this area of support. I don't know if this is a name that you guys are following or not, but again, hit by China worries, and we've seen a lot of Starbucks close obviously here, but I mean, can this be ignored down here at $70, $75 for Starbucks? Wow, there's just so many names that have like, big buying opportunities. Another name that's been absolutely killed me, I know you hold some of this too, but GM is at 52-week lows. That's down to $40. Like, I'm glad that most of my money in this space is in Ford. Ford's 52-week low is 11. At least it's at 16. GM right now, and unfortunately, I don't know why the chart's not loading. It's gm.ny, and it should be fine, but you are way, like, this was $60, guys, back in December. $65? Like, what? But, besides Russia, not much has changed, man, since January. But this name, again, another beatdown name that, hey, you may want to start to nibble at some of these, but hey, it's your money.
Specifically on
I
GM.
just trade mine.
I actually, if you have to go really far back, I don't know if your chart ended up loading up, but back down to $38 is, look, and you have to go really far back here. It's not like you're going to the mid or sort of the end of 2020 to get back down to 38. But for some of these and the environment we're in, I don't think you're worried about missing the up move. So you can be patient, like nibble back at 38. The way I look at it, I only hold 2 EV names, and I'm probably going to keep it to just 2, a GM and Tesla. And I don't particularly want to jump in front of the sword unless I see consolidation. And Tesla probably has to go into the 600s or 700s before I would add to it at this particular point where the valuation is. And GM's, like, I'd start nibbling back at 38. But when you go even further back, okay, well, if that breaks, this was essentially, where this was holding, like 35, 36 was where this was holding before COVID happened. I wouldn't be surprised if it had to trade all the way back into that range before catching a bit of a bit. But you can always watch it consolidate first. Ms. V?
Hey guys, a lot of names are down, including Starbucks, unfortunately. But you know what? Go long on the like button. I promise you it is safe way. And again, I remind you guys, no matter what, if markets are open, we're here for you, to support you, to be with you, to trade with you. And all we ask for is to give us a like, team. So please, let's bring some positivity, kindness, and increase the likes amount to 1K likes. Back to you guys.
Thank you very much there, Ms. V. And I can tell you this right now, I don't know if it's fugazi or not, but it just got me to, I was probably, and I told you guys I was going to take more shares on HUSA if it tested 13 even, but somebody popped on the offer for 200,000 shares. I don't even see them now. So there might have been a fugazi order up at $13 on HUSA. It popped up, it saw the order, and then started to slow down in the 70s, but that's gone now. So someone might have been, doing that thing where it's called spoofing. they throw an order they don't intend to have filled. Whether that was happening or not, I was intending, and I said this when I got into the trade, if it made another pop, I was going to short that pop. I just felt it was a capitulation. But after seeing that order pull, this time I will take some out in front of $12 if it wants to give it to me now that we got the reload. So I'll take some out in front of 12. I still have my bid in front of around 1140 here, and then the rest I'm looking for $10. But things just got interesting with that 13 order that I saw. Real or not, somebody put it out there. Look, you put it on the offer, like that crap can get filled, and was only about 20 cents away. So if somebody wanted to fill it, they absolutely could. I'm not saying it was fake, but I don't see it there anymore. And I might have to, if it breaks 13 even with that nonsense going on there, I probably don't want to hold to the high anymore. But I got a 1257 short, so it's not really that bad of a price. If it ends up breaking 13, maybe this is now going to be the capitulation. But none of these names seem like they're falling like a rock. OP now up to that 160, so that could still break 170. That's the name I actually like for a top-end break, is that OP. So let's see if it can't happen here. It's a couple of cents away, not a ton of size on that offer, so I don't think it's going to have that much trouble getting through, if it can actually get there.
Yeah, USEG, a lot of people talking about. I was still on
USEG.
GM there. This is another,
probably another
crap. Is it an AM name here on the American? No, it's going to be a NASDAQ name. Okay. Here, yeah, starting to go. It just took 7 out, which has been amazing. I know a lot of you have been trading this one. So another oil name, US Energy Corp, starting to go again from basically a 50% move today. Nice little upside move here. USEG just starting to take out some of these levels, and there it goes, man, up to the upside. I mean, those of you that cashed out at 7 definitely zoomed out, because 7 comes all the way back, all the way. So this $7 definitely a good little area there. So those of you that are looking at USEG, a good little opportunity there to get out of that name at 7. So congratulations for that long. You beautiful break right there at 620. To have looked at that would have been great, man. Above the 50 period, above VWAP, and with momentum and a topside break. So that's USEG. Congratulations to anybody. That's Spotify 52-week lows, GE 52-week lows, Roblox 52-week lows, Weed Companies 52-week lows. Like, for that one, no surprise there as we go. Weed, Batman, Ford's getting hammered too. Everything is all the way down to the downside. Penn National, wow, crushed. DraftKings crushed, down 10% each of those names.
And we just got a question. Someone was asking, is it time to pick up the airlines? Look,
no.
I'm not an airline guy. Like I've said that many times. It's a hard sector to figure out, because it's just always like there needs to be consolidation, there needs to be failures. It's tricky, man. And I don't get it. Sometimes the autos can be as well. But if you happen to really like something and you like the valuation, the best I could tell you is these are the types of days that really, in the midst of the biggest panic, when you can pick something up. And UAL, which is down 50%, happens to be at major support on the daily chart and $30. So if you like it, that's not horrible, because you have like $1.50 below. You've got some support here on the daily. But that's the best I can do for you. If that breaks, you could be at $20. And I don't know when the bottom is going to be. Brendan, what's up, bud?
Mandiant halted, guys. MNDT. Just saw this note on MNDT. Google in talks apparently to pick up Mandiant, which is a cybersecurity firm, for $4.5 billion. So I was just double checking when exactly this halted, because I see 3.7 million shares traded today. Might have been just, but yeah, MNDT on the watcher, guys. Halted again. Google apparently in talks.
You said Google to buy Palantir, right? Is what he said?
Yeah, that's what he
That's
said.
what he said. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
We're joking.
Mandiant there. Yeah, so we'll see what happens. We did reload Microsoft, and again, we talk about liking names and trying to stay in your zone and in your lane here. Again, there's another reload for Mr. Softy down here at the bottom, trying to respect that 280. We'll see if he wants to go one more time here. This market, though, like the Nasdaq's down 3.5%. It looks like we brought some bad news back with us here today. We're seeing early mock about 300 million. There goes Microsoft. Good reload there for us on Softy, as it's starting to go back up to the upside. What just happened there? It took out 281 there. Okay, so Microsoft back up to the upside. No idea what's going on here, but there it is. Microsoft with a nice little bump off a reload, so we're pretty happy. Palantir, we're just kind of going back and forth here with it. We're light. We don't have anything. It didn't respect that level, so we got out and we take a little bit more out right there. So we'll watch to see what happens with Palantir. I still feel like this name will go at some point. USEG going. We should just be trading energy stocks, man. Tomorrow we're just going to look at energy and nothing else. Like, what the hell is the problem with us? We should be taking that CEI, pulling back in a little bit as well. Yeah, even Apple down 2% today. Obviously, that's not going well. Eli Lilly doing nice for me, so that's okay. But all right, let's just keep going. Crypto right now, we haven't done a little bit of a look in crypto for a bit, so let's take that look quickly just to give you a little bit of a rundown. Oh, I didn't even realize the time. It's 3:42. Hello. Okay, so the 7-day, the 24 hours here on crypto. Bitcoin 37.5, not great. Ethereum 24, yuck. Ripple 70, Solana 81. I don't even remember the last time I saw that. Cardano breaks 80. I didn't think it would do that. It's 79. We'll see there. We got light. We haven't really bought back into any of these things here. We got light the first time. Bitcoin dropped 40 and Ethereum dropped 3,000. And Cardano, I didn't get out of my Solana. And Cardano was 125 we got some out at. You guys remember that. So yeah, that's getting killed right now. If you feel like crypto is just being punished here, maybe incorrectly, with a lot of that Russia talk, then there's no better time to pick it up than now. Like Neil said, when there's blood in the streets, you may want to pick it up. And my whole thing about not wanting to buy AAL or any of those airlines, what you guys said was just, I was just going to mention, you may want to wait for oil to calm down. That's all, because I think the values and everything are great here for a lot of those names, like a CCL or an AAL. But honestly, man, like, you could come in tomorrow and if these Russian talks don't go well, whatever, then you are going to see oil back up through 122, which will send these cruise lines and travel names back down to the downside. You've already seen a rough ride today for Uber and whatnot. So I feel like, if you're going to pick up any names, there could be a little bit better. And I'd just look for an ETF to go in all those names. So I'd look for Jets, which is a good one. JETS, Jets. And I don't pick up futures on the New York Jets. But you can see right now, this is an ETF, guys, down 11% today. So, I mean, they hold basically all of the names you want. You don't even have to pick and choose, man. This Jets ETF, wow, they got spanked. But by the way, man, Microsoft right now, they're on a nice little upside move. So I'd go into Jets if I were you guys than anything else. But there's Softy, a nice little move back to the upside. 80 cents now for Microsoft as it's starting to go back. We just took a piece out at the 50 period. Goodness. Let's see if it tests 282.
So, of course, like, I keep trying HUSA. And then every single time it goes in the money, I don't take it, and then it takes out the top, thinking it's going to make a capitulation. And OP, which I'm like, it can break that 170. I said I would short it originally, but it got so close to 350. I was a little bit late to pay for the shorts. Well, that was a mistake. Yeah, that doesn't break that 170. That 165 short would look pretty nice right about now that I didn't take. So, thank you very much, Neil, for making that wrong call on OP. It just halted to the downside when HUSA doesn't want to capitulate. But essentially, this is what I'm always shooting for, right? It's to get one of those shorts and then just hit the home run with it when you get that kind of an entry. But it felt like this one was trying to break out the top, but that's why you try to make that breakout trade. Because to me, if it broke 170, 160 was a rollover point. So, I'm not sitting in the long trade there. I'm only looking for it to break out, throw a stop at 160 and see if it goes to $2. Instead, it should have been a short. I didn't short it. It's too late for Tesla 800 now that we're at 346. If anything, I should simply be tightening up the stops on a firm. It keeps trying to break higher. It cannot take out It can't take out this bottom end of the range here, this 34.25-ish area. Seems like every single time it pops, it manages to fade through. I'm going to clean up some stop orders from earlier that I don't need. Clearly, I don't need the OP 170 break now that it's halted down at 120. And if we break this low on a firm, it's going to do so without me because we're now 3 minutes away from imbalances. I'm going to use this last push to get out. Always try to get flat a lot of times on these. If it's made a move like this, off these lows, I think, like I said, like the real you-know-what-to-you direction might be if the market reverses and heads to the upside. But I'm just going to bank the profit. Now I can sort of react to some things that happen on the reopen, or not at the reopen, sorry, at 350 when the imbalances come out. I obviously could have had a firm this morning on that pop and fade trade. There were a lot of other names that were making some big power moves. But if you got a good read on the stock and you got a good level, at least go back to it. I'm going to show you why I shorted the price I did late in the day on the 15. It's not that crazy to be able to see this was both the pre-market low, but if you go back to that big gap down and then retracement, 1340 was the first support it had when you go back to the 24th and that little gap back to the upside. So when that presented as a pre-market low and it retested that high in the afternoon, that's why we jumped into the trade. Sometimes the market gives you a second chance at a price level on a stock that you like for a certain direction. You got to go ahead and take it. I feel like that's a firm on most days. So thankfully, we at least were able to get that one here today. But I'm kicking myself over HUSA because I've been short this thing pretty much every single time, trying to capture exactly this. But you know what? If you try to trade this way, you've got to accept the fact that when it doesn't work for you, it's going to look like this. And sometimes you will simply make the top wick and then watch it drop $2. But if you don't take the top wick, the other point is when I got out of it and it looked like that could have been a bad exit point, it then went $3 to the upside against me. And that looks great that I was able to get out of it there. But that's the battle of trying to short counter trend. Sometimes you're going to hit that home run. But if you don't take your out where it makes sense for you, you can get absolutely run over. I would rather have a down day on a stock than blow days or weeks trying to be stubborn on one individual name. Eventually that catches up with you. So as long as you're sticking by your rules, you should be okay. Thank you, Discotronic, for the super chat. Yeah, we can look at XOM in just a sec.
Okay, yeah, Microsoft, we're just going to reload this near the 280 level and see what happens. The imbalances are coming out in a minute. So we'll look. The futures are slightly off the bottom here, but we still have a 279 area here on Microsoft. So let's put another bid like near 279.50 or so in case it does drop to the bottom there. And then we'll get out on a break lower of 279. So that's going to be what we look at, like a 278 and change break to the downside. So let's watch out for that. If it does come, I'm just putting the order in because, you know, we got to make sure that we don't get smacked on that. And then a new position, we just took MNDT. So that's the buyout there, not a buyout, the Mandiant, the cybersecurity firm that Google apparently was looking at. We're just going to wait. I mean, if it takes out, so it reopens at 2080, rips up, and then it dances around right into here, this 2150 area. So a couple dips down into there, excluding that 2143. That's what we're really looking at. Okay, imbalances are out right now. Oh my God, where is it? Here it is right here. We got to get rid of ARCA. I got to do this real fast there. Now we'll see where we go here. We'll sort it by size, and here we go right now. We'll see what this market brings to us. Not MNDT, let's watch Microsoft here. Down to 2, okay, so I guess they're not even out yet, but the market is making new lows. There it is. So we do take a bid there on Microsoft, and I don't know which way it came. It looks like a big sell, I guess, as all the top names are sell.
Intel's 2.7.
Yeah, Intel, AMD, yeah, but 2.7 on Intel is nothing. Yeah, AMD 1.6, Apple 1.6. These are big cap names, man. And obviously you see Warren Buffett in there saying, I'll buy some more Coke, please. That's another 1.5 million. Citigroup with a sell as well. But there we go. Intel with a sell, and then AMD kind of tested lows and then right back upside. So we'll see. Microsoft, we did get that reload down low, so we got to get out of this one. But Microsoft gives us that bid. Let's trade this accordingly.
Yeah, and the rest of that super chat, Discotronic, if you can send a super chat, I'll talk XOM for you. My favorite, if you want old school WWE, not WWF, I understand. Let's go Jake the Snake. Why not? I loved him back in the day. I think my cousin had the figurine. That's one of the reasons.
Oh,
and
yeah,
I used to watch
tons of those.
I used to watch the cartoon as well. That will tell you how old I am. But XOM, you're right. It's setting up for a breakout. And a lot of times in the oil names, just find something that sets up for you on the chart. One of the reasons it's hard to pick these trades or just be long as a day trader in oil every day is it's not as simple as just hit the buy key and then hold on to it for the entire day. You need to at least find something. And you've got yourself an 87. I think it's a quadruple top here if you're looking at just my 15-minute. And that is an aggressive move up. But the way that we've been going, you've already broken out on the daily. You've got yourself a running market. And then you have a line in the sand here at 87. Looks cleaner on the 15-minute. That's what the heck is that? Whatever. The 75 print just came on and blew up my entire chart here. But 87, you've got yourself a quadruple top. I like that setup for a bit of a breakout tomorrow. As long as we're holding some of these highs, there's been some key levels on the oil futures. But just do not ever trade these without looking at oil futures. I was sitting in a really good CVX short last week, and my out for a CVX short was a breakout on the oil futures. I was watching a level like this, something like this, a double top, and when it broke, I simply punched out a CVX and then watched it run $2 higher. So have that in your mind. If you can line up these breakouts with support on oil futures, they're fantastic. Even your fade trades in some of these equity names, it's the same thing. find yourself a good setup, and then sometimes your stop or your out or reversal is going to be on key levels or consolidation points on oil futures. But great catch there. 87 on XOM is great. I've been looking at CVX and Oxy personally, but now I'll be watching XOM tomorrow.
All right, yeah, XOM has been an awesome. Yeah, we already did the imbalances there, so we will look at them again. I guess it came out to the big sell side as the markets continue to go down, but we took advantage of that by sitting here and taking Microsoft at 279.50 and then literally just cashing it out on the upside, 30% of it at 297.90 and then again at 99. I don't think I was watching it and it could have spiked up there. I don't think so. 280.50 because my net would have gone crazy, but so we'll have to watch to see if it comes back up, but we do want to get some out here on Microsoft and play this imbalance back up to the upside. But we'll show you the imbalances quickly. You asked, so let's show Zynga there, Intel. Again, like Intel, $48 held up pretty good today, only flat for Intel, so that's holding up, which is probably why there's a big sell imbalance. AMD down to 103. I mean, it hasn't really moved the needle on some of these names. Maybe I can zoom in a little bit more as we look. So let's move this over just to give you guys a good look there. So there we go. So AMD right now, it does move down. There's oh, that's the daily chart. What am I doing? Here's the 1 minute chart. So here's the move down on AMD. On that move, as we're moving chairs, if you're wondering what the background is there. Down to 103 flat now goes AMD. So that sell imbalance still continuing to hit the market. It's not even paired off, so that's going to come off at the end of the day, if not in 1 minute. As Microsoft continuing to push lower, Intel, AAL with a buy, okay, and then there's Apple. So I don't see Microsoft on here, but wow, Apple back down to 159. I mean, this is a day, this is not to be like, oh, this is a day to remember, but there's a lot of names right here today that I feel like have just gotten hit like mad. And wow, but really just speechless on sort of how this market has really escalated itself into the close. Now almost down 4%. The S&P, I don't even know what that's down. What's up, Brandon?
Hey guys, Miss V and I were just discussing some earnings. We still have a few this week that are of interest. Nothing terribly exciting tonight or tomorrow, but we'll get into more later in the week. Here's what's coming up after market tonight, mostly, I think, for these.
Yeah, obviously we talked about, in the morning show we talked about Dick's Sporting Goods, and you've seen what's happened in some of the retail names. It's got a 20% short interest. I think that's the reason, that's what makes it interesting for tomorrow, right? So I pretty much promise you that Dick's is going to end up on the radar. DKS, Neil. Of course, anyways, DKS. So we're going to be watching it simply because of that short interest. It does help that it has all this volatility today. Like it's gone down to $100. So it's already under pressure, and maybe it's going to have a bit of a chance to jump off. But it's more about price action here. I'm not saying it's going to squeeze, just that if it catches a bid, it can go absolutely parabolic. We've seen that happen in the past, and would almost never trade it unless it was off of earnings. Only 4 minutes to go here. Tesla never got to 800, but it does feel like we are inevitably closing on the lows of the day. I could have held on to a firm. I didn't. Obviously, that's going to be a bit of a mistake because it is also now breaking down a little bit as everything is closing at those bottoms. 3.5% plus on the NASDAQ to the downside. And the ES just continuously breaking levels. That's going to end up down close to 3%. If you're watching any of these energy names, OP, it's not going to open up. It halted one last time. But that reopen will be at 4 o'clock. If something halts this late in the session, I think it's within the last 15 minutes. It then opens at 4 o'clock. There's like a market on open orders would actually work at 4 o'clock, and you can get out of it then, and then it'll just trade in the aftermarket. But OP was a volatility halt. Won't trade again until 4 o'clock. And Camber fell off. You saw that capitulate. And of course, Husa also managed to find a bit of a bottom as well after it capitulated.
Capitulation, the word of said day.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so basically, there's not much to do left, or not much left to do, because we're just waiting now to see what Microsoft does. We did pick that up at 279. Since the imbalances, we got it out, then it came back in. We took some 279s. So if this does break 279, oh man, This 278.80 here, it is on the downside. So it's going to break this 278.80 for sure. But that's what that stock's doing. That MNDT, like we got out because it broke that 2140 and then it ripped up. So we're out of that. It's okay. It's not. It doesn't matter. But there's the rip up. So that's a good stock. We'll watch this tomorrow. MND, like it literally goes down right to that wick that we were talking about, that 2140, and then breaks it. It actually goes as low as 2130. We could have used view up there maybe, but on a halted stock, what does that really mean? Apparently nothing. So we're just going to watch out for Microsoft here to come back in. AMD never caught a bid. Let's see, where did Bed Bath & Beyond wind up? So again, our last trade that we tried to take was a long at 20. That obviously appears to be good. And I gave you sort of the bull case, there for Bed Bath & Beyond, and that is that at this valuation, with some of the catalysts that are down there, I don't think it's horrible. But again, did it deserve to be up 120% today? That's up for debate, and obviously, the market is confirming that. And then we just got out of another piece of Microsoft as it does tick up again near that 280. So far it's been good on some of these reloads to the downside. It's really respecting that 279 bottom. But again is the market as that's starting to go to the upside. With only 2 minutes left, we'll see where we go. But I'm just holding out for this long, hoping for a last minute bump up. If we get VWAP or like 280.50, that's going to be a good trade and really end the day for me on a good positive note. So we're going to try to hope out for that, and then if it breaks through 279, then we're gone. So it's a very, very easy trade with only a minute and a half left. And
yes, another thing, people asking, or at least a couple of people mentioning NIO. This is right back at those February lows, $18. I understand it traded lower than that in the pre-market today, but effectively, this 18 is a pretty solid level on NIO. And I think a lot of these might have some trouble below. Like you go to the daily chart, and I don't know how many names you can pull up this, but you're now breaking possible major support again, and you have to go all the way back down to like 15.5 if we take out these levels. But that's not a horrible risk to reward if we can hold 18. I'll definitely be looking at that level tomorrow. 800 on Tesla and 18. The same way I was looking at shorts on Nio 20, and then Tesla was 860. I think I'll be looking at 800 holding Tesla, and then Nio subsequent level will be that 18. Whether or not it can hold for the rest of the day, it's got 30 seconds to hold that level. While Ms. V meanders on over to the bell, she's locked and loaded and ready to go.
Ready to go. And the green. Green.
Do we have a name for this Monday?
Manic Monday? I don't know.
That's the song. I forget who does the song.
Yes, it is. I don't know, but
crap. Now I want to know.
I'm just looking at McDonald's. I'm looking at Starbucks. All the banks. JP Morgan 52-week lows. Everything. Thank God Goldman isn't, but it's close enough. With only 5 seconds to go. 3, 2, and 1.
What's up, Tony?
We done. Yeah, good little bell ringing.
One for good measure there.
Thank you. So much, Ms. V. As the market really, no love today. Obviously, we don't need to review that too much, but we do need to find out. I keep knowing what the NASDAQ is up or down, but I don't really track the ES. So let's throw it over to Brendan and see how the market wound up today.
Yeah, I was noticing, guys, a few people talking about the potential for a bounce into the close. Nope. No bounce whatsoever. 3%, better part of 3% there for the S&P, 2.3 for the Dow. The NASDAQ led. 3.7%. It doesn't get much more ugly than that. 3.75 for crude oil. Keep in mind, that was up 8% overnight. And pretty red at the bottom end of the board here as well, guys.
Yeah, obviously it's not a good day. I mentioned that OP would open up at 4 o'clock. It has. It opened, it looks like at about $1.25, so the rug pull. And we talk about this, right? Like if you're trading and swinging these types of names, the ability to trade pre and post market is pretty important, especially in a situation like that. Like if you don't have access to be able to get out on that reopen, get out now in the post market, then you're holding it overnight when maybe you didn't want to do that after the rug has been pulled. So, it's always something we sort of caution. As day traders, we don't really worry about that kind of stuff for our trading live on the show, but for some of you swinging, it's a pretty important thing to have in your back pocket. Is that Brendan again?
I was just noticing. I will confirm this, but if we can show this, guys, it'll be easier to explain. The NASDAQ now 20% from November 19 record close, which would be bear time for the NASDAQ, guys. There it is.
There it is. There it is.
Officially.
Yeah. We will need to put on, these are called gunners here to see the market a little more clearly. Oh man, these are dirty. To see the market a little clearer tomorrow. There's full of dust there. Yeah, look, man, it's been, yikes, a little bit of a scary one here today. I was going to say thank you to Trader Prad, but me no see Trader Prad. There, hey, Prad, how's it going there? Today, so he's gone, he's booked out there, or I don't know, stepped away for a second. But what's up? I want to say a big thank you. Obviously, you guys don't know how hard the people work behind us. A big thank you to Liz, our new social media correspondent, and a big shout out.
There she is.
There's Liz right there. Also a big shout out to Maggie as well. And it's just, we have a lot of help here on the floor. So shout out to Prad, shout out to Ms. V for the midday show. Today it was Rob and Mark.
Get them both.
Yeah, Rob and Mark on the chair rolling throughs and building the second station. So
both, by the way.
Yeah, that looks really good, man. I mean, I'm really excited to have both shows combined. Who else? Thanks to Greg. Thanks to everybody today. Look, we can't do the show without it, and we'll thank Brendan. I mean, why not? I mean,
and Tony.
He's there. Yeah, sure. Thanks, Tony, for the little Italian candies. What was that, Brendo?
Then I'm all right.
He's all right. He's up. The problem with Brendan, he just makes us look bad. That's why I'm hating on him for that reason.
Again, the hair looks like he just had it done.
Yeah, I mean, I get a haircut last week, but then Brett.
It's a little. No.
Get out of here. Yeah. Now you watch tomorrow is going to be like all prim and proper.
It's like, you know what? It's like Ted Danson.
I'm just hating.
From
I just
Cheers.
wish
it's
I
like
had.
He always looks like the hair is freshly done.
He is the Ted Danson of the show. So thank you, Brendan, for sure. But hey, guys, for all of us here at Trader TV Live, stick around for the trade of the day, which is going to be Bed Bath & Beyond. I feel like I learned a lot from that one. So watch out for that tomorrow again. Hopefully there's more runners, and hopefully the market is just as wild as it was today. Tomorrow, we'll see you at 8:30, guys. Ciao.
Bye, guys.